She winked her eye and she made a pass at me. She winked her eye and she made a pass at me. So if she got to be your woman, brother, she's the one you want to see. 'Cause she denied that wedlock tied her down. 'Cause she denied that wedlock tied her down. She was acting 16, that's why I hung around. Oh, but I did.
Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this Tampa City Council meeting to order. For the invocation, I'd like to yield to, I see Bishop Tom Scott. Is it Councilman Miranda who has the invocation today? Yes, Councilman Miranda. Go ahead, sir.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, very much. You started today, Deacon Tom Scott's here today. Invocation for us, and I'm really honored to have an individual, his character, his integrity, and his leadership. As you all know, and we know, that he served as county commission and as city council member. He's also served as a city council chair. And I really enjoyed working with Tom because he's a dedicated individual. What you see is what you get. He has courage, leadership, honesty. However, he's very compassionate. And he tells you the items that are on the agenda and works with you to try to avoid any disruption of the meeting. He led this council, and he was a fantastic chairman, just like he is a very good human being. I've known Tom for over 40 years, and I can only say one thing. God bless me for being his friend, because I'm very honored to understand what a good human being is. And that's why Deacon Tom Scott is who he is. Tom, I appreciate you being here. Please rise for the invocation. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and to this august body. It's my pleasure to be here. Mr. Miranda, thank you for the opportunity and for inviting me to come share. I want to say I appreciate the work that you do. I've been where you are now, and so you're always in my prayers as you lead this city. You work with city government. We pray the best for you and all that you do and what you mean to this community and this city. So thank you again, and Charlie, thank you for those kind words. I was wondering at one time whether who you was talking about, but thank you anyway. Shall we pray? Father, we always reminded of what your word tells us, and that is to acknowledge you in all of our ways, and that you will give direction to our path. Your word tells us that our steps have been ordered by you. And so today we pause to recognize you and thank you for this beautiful day that you have blessed us with. What a marvelous day it is to be able to come in your presence and to recognize you. And thank you. Thank you for our nation, for our country. Thank you for what she stands for. Thank you, God, for those who have been elected by the people and for the people. And today we pray for this city council. We pray for the mayor. We pray for those who lead various areas of our government throughout the state. Today for the city council, we thank you for their leadership. We thank you for their wisdom. And now we pray that you will guide them, you will guard them, and you will give them wisdom to make prudent and sound decisions for the people and for the citizens of this city, Tampa, Florida. Not only do we pray for them today, but we pray, Lord, today when we are dealing with so many challenges, with racial injustice and unrest in our nation, with the pandemic in our nation and in our world, people who are hungry and starving, we pray for them and for your mercy upon them. Now we leave it all in your hand. And we ask again you'll bless all that this city council does today. That'll be done in your name and to your glory. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much, Bishop Scott. It's good to see you as always.
Thank
Have
you,
a
Mr.
wonderful
Chairman.
day.
Good seeing you.
Roll call, please.
Vieira. Goode.
Here.
Carlson.
Here.
Dingfelder. Citro.
Here.
Miranda.
Here.
And Maniscalco.
Here.
We have a physical quorum.
All right. Happy birthday, Joe Greco of the Tampa Firefighters.
Here, here.
We're going to give that shout out. Let's go to the approval of the agenda and the addendum to the agenda. I have a couple of...
Mr. Chairman?
oh, yeah, Mr. Shelby. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you. Good morning, City Council. Martin Shelby, City Council Attorney. Just a reminder for the record, today is Thursday, April 15th, 2021, and we're here at Old City Hall during the COVID-19 state of emergency, and this meeting of the Tampa City Council is being conducted live with an in-person quorum present in City Council chambers. However, in response to the COVID-19 restrictions, members of the public are encouraged to participate virtually through video teleconferencing, referred to by Florida statutes and rules as Communications Media Technology, or CMT. These meetings are held in accordance with Council's emergency rules of procedure as adopted by Resolution number 2020-225 and as amended by Resolution number 2020-490 and 2021-241. The public and the citizens of the City of Tampa are able to watch, listen, and view this meeting on Spectrum Channel 640 and Frontier Channel 15 and on the internet live streaming at tampa.gov/live stream, one word, live stream. And members of the public have been able to communicate and are able to communicate using CMT and alternate methods such as written comments by internet or web at tampa.gov/public comment, written comments by email, written comments by U.S. mail, speaking remotely during public comment with the use of CMT, and that has to be done by pre-registering. The information to find out about how to participate is on the City Council's website at tampa.gov/City Council, one word. Now, for those who want to participate remotely but don't have the ability to have communications media technology, they are able to come to Old City Hall during the meeting and participate using technology that's made available on the second floor of Old City Hall at 315 East Kennedy Boulevard. And that is both for public comment, general public comment, and for the second readings and hearings, the public hearings that take place. Please note that use of masks and social distancing inside this building are required. And again, the instructions on how to communicate and participate in public hearings is also on the City Council's webpage. Now, specific comments to a public hearing will be heard when it appears on the agenda. General public comment is heard at the start of the meeting, pursuant to Council's policy. Now, public comments received timely by mail, email, web, or CMT will be afforded equal consideration as if the public comments were made in person. Now, the written comments that have been received have been distributed to City Council, and for the purposes of the hearings will be made part of the permanent record of these quasi-judicial matters. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my comments this morning. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Vieira is running just a few minutes late, but he will be here at any moment. Before we approve the agenda, just a couple of items or questions, comments. In regards to the staff reports, we do have quite a few big ticket items. Do we need staff for all of these, or can we release staff? Because we have several memos. We have memos from Brad Baird on 49, 50, and 51.
57 also, they've decided to reschedule it for May 27th.
Okay, so yeah, I have that coming up here. Do we can we relieve staff for any of these, or do we need them, considering they've sent memos already? Questions, comments? If not, yes, Councilman Dingfelder. Dingfelder.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chairman. In regard, I had one additional item I've been communicating with staff on, which is 22, and that's in. I'd just like to pull that and put it put it in under staff reports. I just had a quick question for them that never really got completely answered. And then in regard to the other items, I think it would be, even though there's memorandums on 50 and 51, I think it would be good to hear quickly from Mr. Baird on those two. Those are huge items, 65 million and 20 million. So I think that would be good.
All right.
And I don't see any others that I needed staff. Well, 54. This naming issue just keeps dragging on, so I think I'd like to hear from staff on 54.
All right, so we'll keep Osea Wynn on, Brad Baird on for those items.
And 52, I think, Rob, it would be
And
good for him to
keep-
at least spend a minute or two.
All right, we'll keep Rob Rosner on.
49,
Which one?
49.
49, which is a Brad Baird item, so we'll keep Baird on. So Baird, Rosner, and Wynn. Then everybody else, unless there's any objection, can go.
I think you may need to hear from 56, Mr. Chair. We got a lot of.
Well,
emails on
obviously
56.
58.
We're spending a lot more time talking about this. Why don't we just keep everybody here?
That's a good idea.
Mr. Chairman, did you
Yes,
also
sir.
want to take the opportunity before the approval of the agenda to take those items that are asked to be continued, take those and.
Oh, I have a
continue
whole
those?
list, I just got started.
Okay.
All right, so we'll have FDOT's presentation at after lunch, at 1:30, because we're going to break at 12. Item number 56 is going to be continued to May 6.
That has to be by motion and vote,
All right,
please.
can we get a motion to continue 56 to May 6?
So moved.
Motion from Councilman Citro. Councilman Miranda, yes, sir?
He's second.
Yes, sir,
Oh,
I
he's-
so move 56 to continue.
All right, motion from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Miranda to continue 56 to May 6. All in favor?
Right.
All right, item number 57, if I can get a motion to continue.
So moved.
to May 27th. Motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Citro, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, and a motion to withdraw item number 59 as it will not be addressed today. Can I get a motion?
So move.
Motion from Councilman Good, second from Councilman Miranda, all in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, Councilman Vieira is here, so we, I think we got everything covered. All right, we'll start with the agenda. Item number 1.
Excuse me, a motion to
Motion
approve
to
approve
approve the agenda.
as
the
amended?
addendum. Motion from Councilman Good, second from Councilman, second
Miranda.
from Councilman Miranda, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Okay? Okay? Okay. Councilman Vieira, item number 1, sir.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. My apologies for being late. I had a funny mishap this morning, which I won't get into lest I embarrass myself. But it's my great pleasure to introduce my dear friend who I see here, and I wish she was here with us live, Ms. Phyllis Guthman. I'll read her short biography here. Phyllis has provided disability information, resources, and communications for special needs ministries, special needs sports, recreation, art organizations, as well as statewide and local disability agencies for 18 years. She launched Disability Resource Hub as a vehicle to disseminate these resources. And most importantly, the reason I invited her here today for Autism Awareness Month is because Phyllis is not only an involved person in this community, but she is mother to Matthew, a child with special needs. And as we all know, it's Autism Awareness Month, and it's a very important month to talk about these issues. And I'll let our friend Phyllis proceed with her presentation. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Councilman Vieira. Good morning, and many thanks to the Tampa City Council for the opportunity to share what Autism Month means to me. My husband and I received a diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder for our firstborn child 23 years ago. We were devastated, not by the label. We had concerns about his development prior to that appointment, but by the manner in which the professional that conducted the evaluation delivered the information, which was with a complete lack of caring. We could not ask questions or express our emotions. We were provided with no resources. I immediately sent a letter to the director of the program. which sort of dates me because back then you did send letters and not shoot off emails. That was one of the first acts of advocacy as a parent. Additionally, our son has chronic health conditions, so we did not have time to fall apart. We got to work by developing understanding and loads of patience with each other, our son, and stakeholders. We learned how to manage his health and sought strategies to help him learn and become independent. We have a neurotypical child as well. She's currently a university student. It has always been our desire for them to reach their individual full potentials. As a family impacted by autism every day, we are beyond awareness. What is meaningful now is acceptance. We believe in emphasizing what our son has in common with his peers instead of the differences by focusing on his strengths instead of deficits. To be honest, having an African American son has at times been more concerning than autism. His race and disability combined creates additional barriers to acceptance and inclusion. Nearly every day, we are all reminded of the lack of equality and equity in our society. I am the granddaughter, daughter, sister, niece, and wife of fine Black professional men who have been harassed and disrespected simply because of the color of their skin. The fear is real. I am a parent of a young man with autism. I do not know how it feels to experience life as a person with autism. I do know how it feels to be marginalized as an African American, as a woman, and as a parent of a child with disabilities. I do know what blatant discrimination and being perceived as inferior feels like. I do know how exhausting it is to cope with constant microaggressions. And I also know that acceptance of all people, regardless of ability, gender, culture, hair texture, and skin color, must be achieved for the betterment of our entire community. The most vulnerable members of our society, children, individuals with disabilities, seniors, and underserved, marginalized communities must be valued in order to create a society that is stronger due to and not despite of diversity. Acceptance is inclusion. Inclusion is diversity, and diversity is beautiful. Inclusion means that all people genuinely belong. They are not just in the classroom, at the playground, at a place of worship, but are valued, contributing members of these communities. Leveling the playing field and creating equity requires effort by all of us. My prayer is that my children's individual unique abilities and talents allow them to participate and operate in their purpose so they can lead meaningful and productive lives that they choose. The reality of an inclusive society that both my children will be accepted in is my hope and comfort in what I see as a parent. Thank you once again for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much, Councilman Bureau.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And Phyllis, thank you so much for, showing your heart in public. I always say that when you're dealing with issues that are so personal to you and you talk about them in public, you're not always sure if you're going to get a receptive audience or maybe as receptive of an audience as that corresponds with your heart. And I just want you to know that there was reception here today and that I appreciate you talking not only about disabilities, but about race and gender and how those things often, come together. You and I have worked together on a number of initiatives involving not only special needs and disabilities, but racial justice and equity issues. I know you've been involved with our Equal Justice Initiative lynching marker memorial, as well as other efforts, and you just have a great heart, and I appreciate that. And as you know, and as my colleagues know, my oldest brother Juan is developmentally disabled and intellectually disabled, and so I know about this issue. Juan's going to be 50 this year in May. And, my mom wanted to throw a big party for him because it's a big deal. And, of course, now with COVID, we kind of got to scale that back. But, you know, when you're a parent raising a child with special needs and you get that diagnosis, whether it's Down syndrome, an intellectual disability, autism, you know, a lot of the dreams and hopes that you have for your child that a lot of parents have, and you think to yourself, maybe my child's going to be a U.S. Senator, the next Bill Gates, the next Wade Boggs, whatever it is. You know, suddenly they're replaced with just a desire just for dignity and respect, and thinking, is my child going to be exploited, abused? When they're 20, are they going to be able to be independent? What happens when I die, etc.? And those are fears that society doesn't do enough to understand. We don't understand it culturally because people like my brother Juan and like your son Matthew are all too often the butt of jokes, and shame on those people who do that. We don't understand that from an economic perspective. Just look at our legislature and Medicaid waiver and different issues like that, like our friend Karen Clay always talks about that. And we just don't understand it on a one-to-one basis. While we've gotten better in the last 30, 40 years, thank God, and I do mean thank God for that, we still have miles to go in so many ways. So just thank you so much for wearing your heart on your sleeve and for showing us that here today. I really appreciate it. I'll hug you later, but if I could do it now, you know I would. God bless you.
Virtual hugs to you. Thank you so much.
Councilman Good.
Well, Mr. Vieira, let me say thank you for having this wonderful lady here today. I reflect back on some family members in my home, and she touched on something. When I look at being a man of color, and sometimes, well, that's a lot of times in my community, when a young person or child has a disability, they're shunned apart. People feel they don't have an opportunity. As being a coach, I used to see that. And I used to tell the parent, no, bring them anyway. We're going to give them an opportunity to shine. That's the most joyful thing you can have when a kid wants to be a part of something, wants to be equal. And to say that, I'm hoping that folks are listening, that we can have programs, because a lot of times in the African American communities, people don't believe their child have a problem. They say, oh, they'll grow out of it, or nothing's wrong when a kid's not talking. You know, when they get to be 2, 3 years old, they're not socializing. And then they're fearful that something is wrong, but they're afraid to take the steps to see what's wrong with my child, until finally they have to break down, and they get mad with family members when you tell them, you need to go take your child to see a specialist, to see what's going on. I had to do that once. So I understand what Ms. Phyllis is talking about, and hoping that we can get programs in schools or when those kids are going to the doctors can say, get those kids to see somebody to find out what's going on with them. Because when a kid is not socializing at that small age, there's a problem somewhere. Something's going on, and especially in my community, we're fearful. Then a kid's growing up and then goes through all kind of issues at school and being picked on. So again, thank you for your work, Ms. Phyllis, and I'm hoping that we can foster some type of program within the city. I'm happy that with our new East Tampa regional complex that's coming on board, I say that generally that's going to help all of East Tampa. That's why I say it's the East Tampa regional complex. It's going to have an autism park in it, Mr. Vieira. You know how that's going to help a lot of our kids with programming in that community. Parents won't feel ostracized. They'll be able to say, well, let me go take my kid to the park and be able to utilize those gifts and jewels that'll be there for the kids. So again, I feel it, I understand it, and I'm just hoping that we can get a better relationship with our community, especially our communities of color, to take that step to make things happen for our young people. And again, thank you so much. And again, Mr. Vieira, thank you for what you've done, sir.
Anybody else? Thank you very much, ma'am. Yes, sir.
If I may, thank you. And Councilman Goods, thank you for those words. And, you know, you mentioned the Disability and Autism Park in East Tampa. I remember I think it was our first council meeting after the election of chair, I had Rachel Barcelona here speaking for Autism Awareness Month, and you said, you went, I'd love to have one of those parks in my district.
Yes, sir.
And look what you did with hard work and that. And I say this in a positive way, wrecking ball way of doing things, and I say that in a good way. But, you know, the city of Tampa starting 3.5 years ago under Mayor Buckhorn began the Autism Friendly City Initiative, which began with making sure that city employees and departments were trained in accessibility and issues like that. In 2017, we got design funding for the first city autism, 100% city-funded autism-friendly park in New Tampa. In last year's budget, we passed money for the East Tampa park improvements that Councilman Goods was talking about, which is an all-abilities, disability-friendly park, and for construction of the New Tampa Disability and Autism-Friendly Park. And we've had in McFarland Park and so many different improvements, and we're also talking about making sure that every park, city park, has at least one piece of playground equipment that is disability friendly and accessible. So little things like that mean a lot. And there's a saying, which is, if by going a few steps you can walk a mile, I'll take those few steps anytime. And we're taking some big steps so that families like my family, like your family, and others like us can walk miles, but especially feel accepted. Feel accepted. A lot of different things, from going to church or synagogue or temple, going to see Santa, whatever it is, are so often burdened by these challenges, and people don't know what that's like. People don't know what it's like to have a kid and to see those normal things taken away from you, and then to have that hurt and isolation. And people don't know what that's like, and that's it's a terrible feeling. We got to be there for those people. So thank you very much, Council, Mr. Chair, Councilman Goods, everyone. And Phyllis, again, thank you so much. I love you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Next up, we go to item number 2. I was going to present LaShawn Dock a commendation for retiring from the city, but I have good news. And here is a short response from Carol Post, who says, "We are pleased to announce that this item is not proceeding because LaShawn is not leaving the city. As demands and needs across the development and economic opportunity portfolio continue to grow, Carol Post took the initiative to accelerate some organizational changes to enable LaShawn to take on new responsibilities, largely with the new planning department. Given her 16-plus years of time with the city, we are thrilled to know that she will stay part of our team." When I made the motion to give LaShawn the commendation, I saw a lot of sad faces because we know, and we all know, how much she means to the city. So we are happy that she is staying on. So no commendation, and for good reason.
I think it's better that LaShawn's going to stay part of the family. Congratulations.
That's right.
Thank you, Carol Post, for doing what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am. All right. Thank you very much. Next up is item number 3. We have Shirley Fox Knowles, our city clerk, on the second floor at the kiosk. If you would like to begin, ma'am.
Okay. Good morning, council and everyone. Shirley Fox Knowles, city clerk. I'm here to present items 3, 4, and 5. And first up is the code enforcement PNAB appointment, alternate position, Mr. James Chittenden. He wants to speak to you. Thank you.
All right. Go ahead, sir. State your name.
Good morning, gentlemen. My name is James Chittenden. Address is 2137 West Chestnut Street, Tampa, Florida 33607.
Go ahead, sir.
I am an applicant for the Public Nuisance Abatement Board and Code Enforcement Board. I've actually served on this board.
Go ahead.
I've actually served on this board for some 15 years. To my knowledge, I've never missed a meeting. And just like you, I understand that pretty much all of these cases, pretty much all these matters that ever come before this board always have multiple sides. I always strive to treat everyone as fairly as possible. I'm familiar with the board, familiar with the procedures, familiar with the process, familiar with the laws, and for that reason, and also just my past service, I ask for your support.
All right. Any questions or comments? Councilman Dingfelder?
I don't have a question for Jamie, but I just wanted to give him a shout out and tell him how much we appreciate your many years of service, and I hope we can continue those. Thank you, Jamie.
Appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Councilman Carlson, Councilman Vieira.
Yeah, I just want to vouch for him as well. I've known him for a long time. He's served in the military. He's been a historian, all kinds of things. You wrote books. Didn't you write books too?
I've written a few books,
Yeah,
yes, sir.
a few books. Okay. Anyway, thank you for all your service to the community. Look forward to continue to have you, and let's catch up soon.
Appreciate it, sir. You too.
Councilman Vieira.
And I just wanted to echo that. I, of course, know your brother, Edward, who's a nice guy, and Kristen Chettenden and I used to work together at the same law firm for a number of years, and I know that you're a very thoughtful and engaged person, and I just wanted to say thank you for your service to the city and for your continuing service, and I look forward to this vote. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman.
Yes, again, good to see you, my brother. Haven't seen you in a while. As we know, Councilman Maniscalco and I both served on code enforcement, so we know the great work and what you have to do on those during those meetings. But congratulations to you.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Goods? No? I don't know, sir. I'm on the fence. I mean, I don't really know you, so we may have to continue this. I'm kidding. Oh, Councilman Miranda. Yes, sir. You're muted, sir.
Oh, who muted me? It wasn't me. All right, I move the nomination.
Oh, okay. We have a motion from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. Yes, sir. Mr. Shelby.
I just want to confirm with the clerk that this is for the alternate position. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
All right. We have a motion from Councilman Miranda. Who was the second? Citro was the second. All in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Congratulations, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right. Next up, Miss Shirley Fox Knows. Yes, ma'am.
Council, Shirley Fox Knows, again for agenda item number 4. That's the Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Commission. We have 2 individuals seeking reappointment. The first is Ms. Langham Bishop, who's unable to attend and due to a business conflict, and she would like to be reappointed.
Okay. And there's two positions and 2 applicants, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
The second individual is Ms. Winkler. She will be attending virtually and would like to speak.
All right. If we have Nicole Winkler on. Yes, ma'am, we see you. Please state your name. Go ahead. And unmute yourself. No. Still can't hear you. You're unmuted. We don't know. All right. If you'd like us to appoint you here, just nod yes, I guess.
I had a couple of questions for her, but you know.
All right.
Because it is the EBO board, I had a couple of questions for her. But
Okay.
we're not going to do that.
Is she muted on our end or?
Does she have that button? Does she see that microphone button?
Yes, my microphone button is
Okay,
green.
there we go. Okay, go ahead.
Hi, City Council, Nicole Winkler here.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to respond. I'm here. I'm in my 4th year of being a part of the Equal Business Opportunity Advisory Council. I've learned a lot in that time, and I've also finally gone through the process of adding our own business to be qualified in the Equal Business Opportunity Program. So I learned a lot going through that process, and I really would like to continue to share that with my community so that I can help other businesses work and collaborate with the city.
Councilman Goods.
Good morning, Ms. Winkler.
Morning.
The EBO program is very important to me because it deals with a lot of marginalized communities who are trying to be a part of the city contracts and so forth and so on. When I first came on, I heard that the board wasn't meeting on a regular basis, so I'm just wondering, is that board meeting on a regular basis now?
Yes, we are. We are doing that virtually. Yep.
So we're doing that virtually. I also heard that some folks, members on the board, thought that the board wasn't being that effective in being able to look at some policies and procedures to enact to make sure that the workload within the city is being equally distributed and people are getting an opportunity. Can you elaborate on any of that?
Yes, that was my concern in the beginning as well. After attending a first few of the meetings, it was, the process to become certified is quite intensive. And I think that there's a learning curve to that. And so I'm going to continue to push for better marketing for businesses so that we can make it a more friendlier process. And I think it is about just getting more information out there. And I think that's the challenge of the board, is that they have a lot of information to share with the community and to get it into the right hands so that qualifying companies can in fact see these contracts and compete for them. And so, from what I can only see so much from my position, but I do know that Gregory and Michelle and Lita and some of the directors that I work with, they are in constant communication. They email me when there are events or expos or learning potentials for businesses to be involved with the city. So all I can say is that we're even building subcommittees within EBOAC so that us individuals that serve on the board can help improve certain parts of the program within our own audiences. So, to like an example, we've got a marketing subcommittee so that we can help advise the board on steps that we can take, things that we can do to help the board be more effective.
Well, thank you for being honest. Again, I'm passionate about this area, and I hear a lot of things, and I'm just looking for the board to be able. I drive around the city a lot, and I see folks that are out there doing work, and I say, why are you not part of the city? I hear the process is too intense. I hear that, I don't know how to do it. I hear a lot of things that discourages me, and I have to take the step and say, no, I'm going to send your name over to the EBO office. And I'm just looking at more outreach from the board and from staff to be out there in the community, not in the offices, because people are out there working every day, and then they don't know to know. And a lot of people are fearful of government at times. I don't want them all in my business. I don't want this and that. So I want the board, since I'm sure you're going to be reappointed, to focus on some of those areas. And I think that'll help our numbers better, so people won't be fearful of the process. They won't be fearful of government. And again, sometimes you have to speak that lower lingo to some people. They don't understand the big words. They don't understand the big scheme of things. But if you break it down to them in a simple form, they're ready to go to work and put their boots on and get to another dream. So I'm hoping that your reappointment and this discussion that we're having, you'll bring that back to your EBO board. And I know staff is probably listening, but we need more outreach in the community, because I see people laying mud every day, people doing roofs every day. I see these folks out there every day. So when I see a list and say we don't have a list of people on there, we may not have the people on there, but they are out there. They just need to have the tools and to get them on board. So thank you very much for your candor.
Thank you very much. Mr. Shelby, yes, sir.
Yeah, Council, I just have a question, a clarification. Just so you know, with both Ms. Winkler and Ms. Langham Bishop, their first term expired on August 23rd of 2020. And just to remind you that the term of office for this board is 2 years with term limits of 2 consecutive terms. So my question to council is it council's intention, in that we've had the pandemic and we've had the disruption in the way the city does business, and the fact that their terms expired in August of last year, would it be your intention to have their appointment now be for a full 2-year term effective today? Or did you want it to be retroactive to last August?
Nothing happened since last, I mean, considering the circumstances that were beyond anyone's control, I think it should start from, today or well, just say today, not even the closest day, because it wouldn't be fair otherwise. I mean, the world stopped essentially for a period there, so just to be fair to everybody.
If that's council's intention, that'll be fine, and that'll be part of the motion to make it effective.
Councilman Miranda.
Today, then.
Thank you. I want to make sure, maybe I missed what Ms. Winkler said. I know she's not related to my own cousin Henry.
Different spell.
She's smiling, but she knows what I'm talking about.
I wish.
But what I'm asking is that I'm not opposed to the motion, but I need a little bit more information so I can digest it. Are we saying then that from August 20th, 2020 that to now there has not been a meeting of that board?
Mr. Miranda, that's a good question. I had a call into to Mr. Hart yesterday, and unfortunately I wasn't able to connect with him. I don't know the answer to that. If you want to...
Well, then I can't make a judgment on what time it should start, because if it's from 2020 and they've had one meeting between 2020 and now, then I think we're in violation of our own motion, because they've been meeting virtually or on person, I don't know which. So I got to have some more information as far as my vote is concerned, if they met any time after August 20, 2020, to find out if it's so deserving, and I'm not against it, but I want to make sure that I'm within the confine of the law.
Mr. Miranda has an excellent point, Mr. Chairman. I believe it would probably be most appropriate then for me able to connect with the department and to defer this till later, till we have more information. I don't think it would jeopardize either one of their position. But
Mr. Hart is on the line. We can ask him now just for clarification. If not, we'll figure it out from there. Mr. Hart, if you're on the line, have there been any meetings since August of last year until now? Virtually, in person, anything?
Good morning, Council. Gregory Hart speaking, Manager, Equal Business Opportunity Program. Yes, there have been a few meetings, as has been stated, when the pandemic went into the stagnation of most everything. Early on, there were no meetings, but yes, since we've had, probably 4, 5, or 6 meetings, if not more. So with that being said, I would think that I don't have the record in front of me, but we've been meeting for 3 or 4 months of late.
All right. Well, if that's the case, then maybe we should just start it from when the term expired. Mr. Miranda.
I just want to, and I don't want to Ms. Winkler or anyone else on the board to be that we're sub-reading. We don't want to do that. However, since we don't really know all the facts, and at this point, even the advisor spoke that it was 4 or 5 meetings, 6 meetings, we want to know if there's any break of service. So I think we ought to hold this for a week or so, whatever time it is, so we can come back and have the fact when they stop meeting, so we can include that in the second-year term. And I want to be as fair as I can to everybody on the board. That's what I'm doing. And I'm sure this council would want to do the same thing.
All right, let's get a motion then to continue item number 4 to May 6th, which is our next regularly scheduled meeting. We'll put it at the beginning of the agenda just like this under ceremonial activities. And in the meantime, we'll get as much clarification as we can. Councilman Goods with the motion. Do we have a second? Second from Councilman Vieira. All in favor? Aye. All right, so we'll come back May 6th, ma'am, Ms. Winkler, so we can get clarification on how many meetings and term, the term limit and all that. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes?
I just want Ms. Winkler to know that we appreciate her service. We appreciate all her efforts, and clearly this is just a procedural continuance.
And, Mr. Chairman, I just want to thank Mr. Miranda for clarifying that issue, raising the issue, and allowing us to clarify it. So thank you, sir.
Item number 5, Shirley Fox Knowles. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead. We have one more.
Shirley Fox Knowles, City Clerk. Yes, Council, we have one last one for the Architectural Review Commission. Susan Claus Smith wants to be reappointed. She couldn't make it today, but requests reappointment.
Any questions? Councilman Goods? No? Any questions? Can we get a motion to approve that reappointment? Motion from Councilman Goods, second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that settles that, correct?
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. We'll go to public comment. We'll begin with the in-person speakers on the second floor. Then we'll go to the virtual. The virtual, we have 12 registered speakers. We will start with in-person on the second floor. After each person, we'll sanitize the lectern and keep it going from there. Go ahead, first speaker.
Hello, my name is Clayton Long. I'm a lifelong Tampa resident. I own a home with my wife in the North Ybor, East Tampa area. I'm here to discuss permitting and construction services. I have a prepared statement to read. A real estate investor has purchased at least 2 properties in my neighborhood. One of these properties is next door to me, and it has not 1, but 2 stop work orders attached to it. After the first stop work order, the owner of the property submitted an owner-builder permit application where the scope of work included reconfiguration of the interior space, electrical work, and window replacements. The plans that he included have no electrical diagrams, no window installation specs. They are not to scale, not signed, not sealed, not drafted by a professional. Those plans, which I have with me here today, were recently approved by the City of Tampa's Construction Services for a Level 1 alteration permit. 3 years ago, I applied for a permit from the City of Tampa to convert my rear laundry area into a second bathroom. I hired an architect, got plans printed to spec. They were signed and sealed with 2 scale drawings, electrical diagrams, the works. The city sent my permit application back to me for 2 months. They even made me get the plans redrafted. The city also upgraded it to a level 2 alteration because I was changing out a window and had a wall addition. Additionally, the city modified my permit request to add all of the windows in my house to that permit request because the previous owner, also a below-board flipper, never permitted those windows prior to selling it to me. Reworking the plans, hiring an architect, widening the scope of work, upgrading the permit to a level 2 alteration cost me thousands extra. At the time, I was furious, but I rationalized it as this is what happens to everyone. Everyone applying for a permit would have to hire an architect, cite the proper building and electrical codes, have their plans signed and sealed. Anyone who's changing walls or windows would require a level 2 alteration permit. And yet next door to me, I can plainly see that those rules don't apply equal to everyone. The investor next door doesn't need detailed plans that cover the full scope of his work. He can change walls and windows with a level 1 alteration permit. He can scribble on the back of cardboard, call them plans, and he gets a pass. Why is he special and my neighbors and I are not? Why are the rules different for us than they are for him? Why does he get a free pass to do harm to our neighborhood and to whoever the next owner will be?
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, we'll sanitize the lectern and take up the next speaker. Yes, sir, go ahead.
Mendez Knott, Tampa, Florida. You know, I went to the bar the other night, met a nice young lady, paid my $40, and we went back to the hotel room. When we got back to the hotel room, I found out the nice young lady was actually a man. Kind of surprised me, but I'd already paid my $40, so I had to go through with the act. I just got stuck because I didn't want to reverse the process of losing those $40. That's what this city of Tampa want us African people to be stuck with. They want us to be stuck with getting sexually molested, sexually abused in the anus, in the posterior, on a lifelong basis.
Point of order, Mr.
Yes,
Chair. Point of order, Mr. Shelby. Are there any rules to this?
I'll read you the rules, Council. With regard to public participation, Rule 5. It states the following.
Into the microphone, sir.
All persons shall at all times conduct themselves in accordance with council rules. Persons failing to do so shall be ruled out of order and may be directed at the discretion of the chair to be removed from the council chamber. Such person shall not thereafter be readmitted to the city council chamber or city hall during the remainder of that day's meetings. Speakers shall refrain from disruptive behavior, including making vulgar or threatening remarks. Speakers shall refrain from launching personal attacks against any city official, city staff member, or member of the public. Comments shall be directed to the council as a body and not to individual council members. No one present during a city council meeting shall engage in disruptive behavior, including intentionally making or causing to be made any disruptive noise or sound, or displaying signs or graphics in a manner disruptive to the proceedings. That would be the relevant sections of your rules of procedure. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Chairman.
Disruptive, vulgar, Mr. Chair. I just want to make my objections. That's all.
Thank you very much. All right.
Am I continue?
Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, that's the problem. Y'all don't like black people speaking. That's what it is. So when black people come to speak, y'all treat us, y'all not indifferent to regular white people. It's no indifference from how we're treated internationally. It's no indifference from how we're treated nationally. And it's no indifference to how we're treated locally. Y'all don't like black people to express ourselves. Y'all don't like us to have freedom of expression. You understand? And y'all want us to stay scared. Y'all want to choke us out like you choked out George Floyd. You want to shoot us like you shot the young man the other day. You understand? You want to kill us like you killed a young man in the hospital. And you want to get away with it. And you don't want African people to speak on it. And you want you to be scared. You want you to be scared. Y'all want to put roundabouts in our communities, and we don't have no place to live. And y'all want us to keep our mouths shut. Man, ain't nobody scared of you. Ain't nobody scared about your rules. African people, we have moved beyond that. People come down here to speak. Y'all worried about what they wear, how they dress, what they look, but y'all not worried about how we're being treated. Ain't nobody scared of you. You the coward. I'm not the coward. Ain't nobody scared of this city council. This city council the coward. The mayor run this city. The mayor tell y'all what to do. The mayor give y'all $1 billion budget, and y'all approve it in seconds if y'all ain't even seen it. And ain't nothing in it for black people. And we 26% of this population. And ain't nothing in it for us. And we come down here, and y'all got more cops down here wasting time, and y'all sorry y'all can't even get to work on time. And then y'all want to treat the people a certain kind of way. And somebody's supposed to be afraid of that. Man, ain't nobody afraid of you. I ain't been never afraid. You afraid of life. You afraid of living. You the coward. I'm not a coward. The city council the coward. The mayor run this city. The mayor run this city. The mayor before that mayor run this city. You can tell y'all ain't got no power. Y'all ain't got nothing. All y'all do, they need to call y'all budget approvers.
Thank you very much.
That's all y'all are, none more,
All right,
none
we're going to
less.
sanitize the lectern, and we'll have the next speaker. Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. I would first like to give congratulations to Mrs. Phyllis Goodman, because she just didn't talk about her situation. She broadened the landscape to talk about what African people are confronted with on a daily basis and the fear that exists. Walking, living, biking. So I appreciate that. But what brings me here this morning is when we talk about the process and when we talk about respect for the rules. I'm going to keep on coming, and I'm going to keep on advocating for East Tampa and the African community. I'm going to keep on coming, and I'm going to keep on advocating for jobs, for economic opportunities, for better housing, for essential workers that deserve to have the opportunity to move forward. But what I find to be completely disgusting is the fact that we do have a process in East Tampa called the CRA that is being so disrespected because the process is being manipulated by those who want to have their final say on things we're doing. On the upcoming April the 12th, that has not been brought to the Aesthetic and Beautification Project, has not even been discussed in the board. There's going to be a public hearing notice that has been put out by the city for an art project for roundabouts on 34th. This board has only been in assemble for 6 months, but yet and still the things that the board has talked about that has wanted to move forward in terms of a quality of life issue for the community has been stalled. But the shiny, pretty things that the city wants is moving forward, and I'm quite sure in your May CRA meeting, you're going to be voting for up to $300,000 to be spent on an art project roundabout. I'm here to tell you that as a citizen, that if you have no respect for the process of going through a subcommittee, then followed by listening to the board's recommendation, and then you make the approval, because the Aesthetic and Beautification Board do not meet until April the 22nd. So this has been fast forward. So if you constantly refuse to listen to that board that has been elected by the people, as a citizen, then I have no other recourse than to take my complaints, not to you anymore, but then to another body of individuals that have formed CRAs, and maybe they have some respect for the rule of democracy. It is insulting to see how we don't have sidewalks in a community, but up to $300,000 could be spent for art projects. And you can parade all of the neighborhood associations, you can parade all of the people that's going to speak after me, but in East Tampa, there's over 40,000 residents that are still dealing with the same issues pretty much that Ms. Phyllis laid out, of the complete uncertainty of life living as Black. And if you board members, which are all Democrats, that are always dependent upon that population to listen to you when you're campaigning, surely you can listen and respect the board that has been voted by that community. Maybe not all liked, but it is a process that should be followed. So this meeting that has been posted by the city to happen on the 21st, I would hope that this board has enough courage to say that that the process has not been followed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, we'll sanitize the lectern and bring up the next speaker. If there's anybody else on the second floor. All right, go ahead, sir.
Good morning, Council. Daryl McAteer, Phelps Dunbar LLP, 100 South Ashley Drive, Suite 2000 here in Tampa. This is as to item 58. I am here to speak to object to both the interim development control ordinance and the comp plan amendment that underlies it as overbroad, unduly burdensome as drafted, and as they would eventually be applied. Comp plan amendments are legislative in nature. If the council moves forward with these proposals, it will be disallowing the application of existing law while exercising the legislative process over a long period of time. This is a moratorium by another name. I know we've reshaped it and rewritten it and relabeled it, but that's what it is. It is not only an attack on property rights, but a taking of those rights. The landowner's rights under the existing code will literally cease to exist for a long period of time, maybe forever. Moreover, the soaring costs of single-family homes in Tampa make high-density multifamily development a necessity. Over the last 15 years, Tampa has adopted a policy of intense urban growth. A lot of the results of that policy have been spectacular. We have a much better city now than we did 15, 20 years ago. I've seen it. But with that growth comes an increased cost of living. That's natural. And not everyone who can live in the city can't afford a single-family home anymore. You need the apartments. You need the density. It's part of moving from a town to a large American city. Multifamily housing is necessary to mitigate that cost. These proposals represent a terrible precedent that future city councils may follow. Please don't go down this path. Please vote against the interim development control ordinance and the comp plan amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I believe that concludes our in-person public speakers. We have 12 individuals registered for virtual public comment.
No.
Yes, ma'am?
We do have one more public speaker.
Oh, you do? Okay, I'm
Yes.
sorry. Go ahead. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Rosanna Daniel, and a lot of times I watch behind the scene and watch everyone speak and bring their agendas to the front panel that is up front. And so heartening, disheartening, dissatisfied with a lot of it. I hear issues that people have been speaking on for decades, for a long time. And I don't see any change. When you talk about change in East Tampa, no, there hasn't been no change. It has not been a change, no. And I hear them say, a change is gonna come. But everybody's in their high places, all of you who are making decisions, you know what? Today is a new day. And I want to mention the name Sandra Bland.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about. It's just get quiet. That's what's going on, not only in the city of Tampa, but all around. And you say, go ahead. But how can we move ahead if the ones that's supposed to be in charge are sitting back and making decisions and making votes that is not really on the front line at the best interest of the people or the city? And definitely, born and raised here, not for East Tampa. No growth. Once again, I want to say the name again. I'm going to say her name. Sandra Bland. The blood is on your hands. Repent, for the kingdom of God is at hand. And the word is saying it's a dangerous thing to fall in the hands of an angry God.
Thank you very much. All right, I believe that concludes our in-person public comment. We go to the registered speakers. Again, we have 12 registered speakers. Madam Clerk, if you'd like to begin, and we'll start. I have David Mechanic as the first speaker, or whomever you have, and then we'll go down the list.
Good morning, Chair. David, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, council members, my name is David Mechanic. I'm here on behalf of Viper Ventures that owns significant amount of real estate on Rattlesnake Point. I would first like to say, and I'm going to, it is the correct thing to do for council to pursue a plan amendment. That process involves a number of public hearings and opportunity for the public to participate and to express their views. That is the right way to go about changing the comprehensive plan. My concern, however, lies with the interim development control ordinance, as prior speaker mentioned, is a moratorium with a different label on it. And I would first like council to realize that Kate Wells in her memorandum to council indicated that the 4th District Court of Appeal determined that the pending ordinance doctrine, which is what you're attempting to do, does not apply, or the city is not allowed to use that doctrine for plan amendment. Now, that District Court of Appeal is not binding on the Court of Appeals for Tampa, but it nevertheless is persuasive, and it raises a serious question as to the efficacy of this moratorium. And I would just like to say, I'd just like to point out, make sure council realizes, when the proposal was changed to involve the CC, CMU, and the UMU categories throughout the city, who are now impacting hundreds, if not thousands, of property owners throughout the city, and I'm sure many of whom are not even aware of this initiative at the stage of the game. And I would just respectfully request that council proceed with the plan amendment, but not proceed with the interim development control ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we have Dan Woodward.
Good morning, Dan. If you're on the line, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Good morning, council. Good morning, chair. Thank you for your time this morning. My name is Dan Woodward with Highwoods Properties, 3111 West Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, Tampa 33607. I am speaking today in opposition to item 58 and the moratorium and your desire to accelerate the comp plan amendment process. I started my career at West Shore in 1985, and during that time have watched it mature from a suburban office market with some single-family residential to a true mixed-use community, including office, retail, hotel, single-family housing, and multifamily housing. The existing City of Tampa comprehensive plan directs growth to West Shore, Central Tampa, and the university area. These are the areas our community targeted for growth in order to attract and support a diverse workforce and encourage increased transportation options. I ask that West Shore, Central Tampa, and the university area be excluded from this proposed change to the comprehensive plan. And I also respectfully would like to voice my objection to the effective date of June 1. I would ask that the comp plan amendment process be allowed to run its course as prescribed by the Planning Commission. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your consideration.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Gene Strohmeyer.
And if you're on the line, please unmute yourself and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Hello? Well, before I just wanted to clarify, I thought we were going to speak later on, and
No.
we were 58, so we assumed it was later. So we wasn't quite prepared for everything at this time. So with that said, my name is Jean Strohmeyer. I had a couple items that I was going to bring up. One was item number 27, and the agenda item is requested. It's regarding these mask mandates and requesting funds. So to me, it doesn't make sense. It says that the purpose of the program was to reduce the spread of COVID on large construction sites and to keep this critical engine moving forward. But it says the program was successful in that there was minimal spread of the virus at the site. But how do we know there was minimal spread? I mean, we don't have a way to measure something that did not happen. The program, it said on the agenda, was funded by voluntary agreement by the developers. So if the program was funded by voluntary agreement by the developers and they reimbursed the city for the cost, then why are we doubling the cost from $75,000, almost doubling, I'm not great at math, but to $130,000? So I'm just trying to wrap my head around the extra $55,500. So I do not think this should be increased. On item number 58, besides the, we're talking about the moratorium, because it's not really a moratorium, it's merely trying to limit some density. We did not bring up the last time, and we meant to, is that this site, according to the transcripts of 2008, the chemical plant, it was brought up that it's considered by Homeland Security, by the way, as a target of a terrorist attack. So if a terrorist wanted to attack something, it's going straight for the chemical plant. So we need to also keep that in mind under the current extremes of the outside governments and our government with MacDill Air Force Base right there. So please keep that in mind, that a terrorist attack on that chemical plant will be devastating, not just to the neighbors there, but it'll spread, since it would be more than a gallon of spilled chlorine, it would be a lot. So anyway, but all in all, we support the moratorium as written, or the moratorium as written. It's been clarified a little bit to us since our last meeting. Thank you very much. You all have a great day.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, anything that might be relating to a decision that's pending before council at a quasi-judicial meeting, quasi-judicial hearing, just please be mindful that to only rely on the evidence that's adduced at the hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Andrew Moore.
Chair, Andrew Moore and Mark Bentley did register to speak. However, they did not phone in to participate in today's council meeting. The next speaker is going to be Tom Ennis. Tom, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak. Thank you.
Good morning, council. Thank you for this opportunity to speak to you. I'm Tom Ennis. I'm with Lawson Associates, 5401 West Kennedy Boulevard, the West Shore area. I'm here today to speak on item 58. We do not support eliminating the use of the floor area ratio for single-family or single-use multifamily development effective June 1st. We feel the established comprehensive plan amendment process is the appropriate way to address any changes to citywide development standards. This allows a thorough vetting process by the public. We believe the city's 3 major planning districts, Central Tampa, West Shore, and University, should be exempted from any changes. The existing comprehensive plan encourages growth to be directed to these areas. These 3 areas allow for the existing transit corridors to accommodate the growth. So please consider this ordinance change. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. The next speaker is John Bowden, correct?
The next speaker is going to be Stephanie Pointer.
All right.
John did phone in to register to participate, but he did not phone in. So the next speaker is Stephanie Pointer. Stephanie, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Okay, sweet. I'd like to point out that the change for number 58 is for the FAR, only for single use. No matter whether or not anybody likes it, bottom line is, I think everyone can agree that mixed use developments, especially when it comes to large apartment complexes, can always be a good thing. To have a coffee shop, to have a small corner store as part of a huge development of, say, 500 apartments, 600 apartments, 300 apartments is never going to be a bad thing. So the developers who are here kind of being whiny about this today, because it's a big surprise to them since this has been on the agenda since March of last year, should kind of take that into account. There are ways around this. It's just us stopping the onslaught of apartments. I'd like to also, let's get real about it. We've seen in the last week, we have presented to the city council in the last week over and over again how developers got their way in 2016. And we were left kicked to the curb with no way to defend ourselves. Now, those of us at Stopover Building SOG have said, if we've said it once, we've said it 100 times. What we are asking for is for south of Euclid, period. We are not experts on anything outside of our community, according to the documents Ms. Wells has given to us. We are not experts on anything outside of our community, and don't aspire to be. We are focused on our own neighborhood association. Now, with that being said, THAN had its first meeting since Mr. Shelby visited with THAN in 2019, November of 2019 last night. So we're looking forward to building up THAN and getting our neighborhood associations on board. If you gentlemen have neighborhood association leaders who are interested in joining THAN and helping us move forward, we would really be excited about that. Our next meeting is the 12th of May. We are looking for some folks from each neighborhood association to support us in moving forward with some of the items on our list of 14 items from last week. We appreciate you guys' support. Bottom line is, you know, these developers operate completely different from one another. They don't collaborate at all. So I've got 216 apartments 9/10 of a mile from another 216 apartments, and they don't even know that they're both building the same thing. Supply and demand, folks. I know we got people moving to the city, but you can't tell me that they all want to live down here in this dead end where we live, because they're going to be dead in the end like us, because we won't be able to get out for the thousands and thousands and thousands, probably tens of thousands of trips that they've added to our community in the last 4 years. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good day.
You as well. Thank you. Carol Ann Bennett is the next speaker.
Chair, Carol Ann Bennett and Priscilla Partal did register to speak. However, they did not phone in to participate in today's meeting. So the next registered speaker is going to be Sean Brown. Sean, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
All right. Let's see. Good morning, council. Can everyone hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Perfect. Sean Brown here, I'm president of the Gandy Civic Association. As Stephanie pointed out last night, we had the first THAN meeting in a while, which I think we all thought went very well, and hopefully we're looking forward to working, with THAN and getting that up and running to work on some of these additional issues in forthcoming. Of course, today I'm talking about item number 58, though, in the interim. Now, it is kind of ironic that developers are coming in force, at least with their counsel, to oppose this change. Look, one of the things that's not occurred with developers is that they've spoken to actual neighborhoods and such timely to see what the neighborhood needs. What does the neighborhood want out of projects like this? How can we benefit the neighborhood? It's all about profit and dollar. All right. The attorneys that are here today speaking on behalf of the developers are billing their clients. So they're not speaking as just a private citizen. They have a vested interest in this. This affects their paycheck. For us, we're volunteers. We don't get paid. So the fact of the matter is that they're here, complaining is kind of ironic. Now, with that being said, look, mixed use development is needed. Why in the world can people be able to go to a coffee shop or live the American dream and start a business? Why does someone have to get in their car, drive 20, 30 minutes away to someplace they want to go to and drive 20, 30 minutes back? And in that time, it could be flooded streets, car accidents, stuff like that. Why do people have to sacrifice the quality of life to be able to have to get in their car to go somewhere when they could just walk to it or bike to it? What is so wrong with that? Can anyone explain, can any of these developers explain it? What is wrong with having mixed use? They will argue, say they don't like to have grayed out storefronts. They're worried about, the perception, that we can't fill it fast enough grayed out so people aren't going to want to buy, want to rent an apartment. That's malarkey. That really is malarkey. So, look, at the end of the day, all of you should support this. The city, has to come up with a very legally defensible proposal, and it is something that is far overdue. And it's time to listen to the people, listen to the residents that are here, that are living with this. These projects are designed to last 50 to 75 years. So why, but they're not designed for the future. They're designed for the now. Ideally, it'd be nice to have something for the future as well. So it is something that it just is time to listen to us. And it's time to enact this and go with what the city is proposing. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time.
Thank you very much. Next up, Steve Michelini.
Steve, if you're on the line, you have 3 minutes to speak. Please unmute yourself. Thank you.
I should be unmuted. Am I online now?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
You know, this is all about process, and you can't jump to a suspension of development throughout the city because there seems to be, or at least a perception that there's a problem in one part of the city. The other areas that are designated for growth and development, like USF, West Shore, Downtown, Channelside, Ybor City, are all being penalized because of this. There is a correct process to be followed, and some of the other speakers have already mentioned it, which is go through the Tampa Comprehensive Plan Amendment process. There is more than one opportunity to be heard, for the information to be fully vetted, and then to come back to the council with recommendations on what to do. By suspending through the interim development control ordinance, you penalize everyone else. And I think somebody else also mentioned, most of the city doesn't even know this is under consideration. So this is not about developers trying to get their way. It's about following the correct process. We're urging you, and I'm speaking here on behalf of the Builders Association, to not to adopt the interim development control ordinance, but to please go ahead and process the plan amendment that's being proposed. Let it go through the regular process, which is ordinary, and it provides full input for everyone. And this is not about specific projects. This is about affecting the entire city. When you undertake these measures, you have unintended consequences. And in this case, I'm not sure that you want to shut down the potential dormitory buildings that are going up or plan to go up at USF, or the redevelopment in the West Shore area, or in Ybor, or downtown in Channelside. These transit corridors are designed for intensive, high density development. And by penalizing them for 9 months is unreasonable. So I guess, we're asking that you consider that. Do not adopt the interim development control ordinance, but please go ahead and submit the text amendment and the comprehensive plan changes to the Planning Commission so that the staff can fully investigate what are the best solutions for this issue. It's an extraordinary and extreme measure that is not warranted. We don't even have the background data that supports this. So anyway, we greatly appreciate your support, and I understand that the Tampa Board of Realtors has submitted a letter which has exactly the same and similar concerns as well as the other speakers. So I thank you for your time. We appreciate your consideration. Do not adopt this ordinance, but please do go ahead and transmit the requested change for the comprehensive plan.
Thank you very much, sir. Do we have anybody else? I believe
Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Carol Bennett is on the line. Carol, if you're on the line, please unmute yourself, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Carol Ann Bennett, if you're on, go ahead. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Carol Ann Bennett. I'm a lifelong resident of South Tampa. Really kind of amazes me that people have the nerve to say that this is snuck up on them. We've been coming to City Council for 1.5 years about this. There's nothing secret about it. There's no mystery here. We had a workshop 6 months ago. On December 3rd, Mr. Dienfelder recommended a moratorium on all rezonings for multifamily south of Gandy. And then we talked about it again on February 4th. We've been talking about it forever. I don't understand. And this is temporary. And the other thing that's really confusing to me is that this is really not a huge thing. City staff has said the FAR isn't working the way it was originally intended. The bonus density isn't working the way it's supposed to work. You're still going to get your regular density. you're still going to get 30 units per acre if you're.
Ma'am, we've lost you.
Suddenly I got muted.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how much you heard, but you're CMU 35, you're still going to get 30 units per acre. Many of the apartment complexes, projects that the South of Gandy people and all the South Tampa people have been concerned about, the FAR wasn't even involved in. So many of these, they're not going to affect at all. So, I urge council to go forward with this. We need to have planned growth. We need to direct growth where it's supposed to be and stop it where it's not supposed to be. And what's happening right now is there's a feeding frenzy going on in South Tampa. And the intensity of growth and the efforts of urbanization are contrary to the comprehensive plan that lists all the reasons why South Tampa is not a good place to urbanize. So if all these places are built and then a year from now, 9 months from now, they say, oh, you know what, we were right. It's not a good place for urbanization, but it's too late because we already have urbanization. Are you going to go tear all those apartment complexes down? I don't think so.
Thank you very much.
So I urge you to go ahead and approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Does that conclude all the virtual participants?
Yes, Chair, that concludes the general comment section. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're going to continue with the agenda, and we'll go to the Public Safety Committee. Councilman Citro.
Mr. Chair.
Yes?
I have 3 conflicts today under different headings. Can I just knock them all out at the same time?
Sure. What are the numbers?
20, 26, and 36.
20.
26 and 36. So just when we go to those, if we could maybe, I could either step out now and you all can vote on those, or we can vote on them after we vote on the rest of them.
36, correct? We'll just, when we get to them, just step out. So,
Could I
your
just
forms, correct?
Yeah, could I, and I need to state that I have a conflict because my company does business with parties that could be involved in these.
And then we'll receive and file the forms. You want to do them now? Okay, go ahead.
If I could, I'd like to, there was one from last week too, so that was.
All right. Get a motion to receive and file all the documents from Councilman.
So moved, sir.
Councilman Booth with the motion. Do we have a second? Second from Councilman Dingfelder. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes, Mr. Shelby?
Maybe for the sake of working separately, we can have a separate vote on those items then, and then have Mr. Carlson just not speak.
Why don't we pull those until
All right,
after
well,
the
when I
consent?
get to the committees, I'll just exclude them, and then we'll do them all at once at the end, so you don't have to hop out. All right, Public Safety Committee, Councilmember Citro.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I move items 6 through 8.
So moved.
We have a motion from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Goods. Roll call.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Next up, Councilman Goods, Park and Rec and Cultural Committee. Item
Adopted
number
and
910,
amended
moved by
by
Councilman Goods,
Molly
second.
again.
Second from Councilman Vieira. Please mute yourself. Roll call vote.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, 11 through 16, Councilmember Dingfelder, Public Works.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll move items 11 through 16. So moved.
Second.
Motion from Councilman Dingfelder, second from Councilman Goods. Roll call vote.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, Councilman Miranda, item 17 through 21, with the exception of item 20 because of Carlson's form that he's filed.
Move on, Mr. Chairman, 17 to 19 and item 21.
Second.
We have a second from Councilman Citro. Roll call vote.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Goode,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, Councilman Carlson, Building, Zoning, and Preservation, with the exception of 22, which was moved to staff reports per the request of Councilman Dingfelder, item number 26, in which you have a conflict. And then we have substitute resolution for 30. And then for item number 33, we'll read that afterwards. So go ahead, sir.
Okay, let me see if I can get this. I'd like to move items 23, 24, 25, and then 27 through 32, including the substitute resolution for 30.
All right, we have motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Viera. Roll call vote.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Goode,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Can I make
Motion
one?
carried unanimously.
One quick comment about item number 29. I spoke to Carol Post and Rob Rosner about it. As you all know, I'm against subsidies of companies for economic development. I think our community and our people stand alone by themselves without needing subsidies to bring companies. And CAE, going back all the way to the Reflect-On Times, I remember, is a strategic industry in our area. But this is a renewal of the old QTI program, which includes lots of feedback from the state, and QTI is investing in the people of our area, not in subsidizing a company directly. And this one does not include our ordinance, which requires a sworn affidavit, but that's because the state reviews the QTI program. So I just want to make that clear for anybody watching. Thank you.
Thanks for your research on that, Bill.
Yes. Councilman Carlson, do you mind reading item number 33?
Yes, just read the red part?
Yes.
Okay, like to move file number BF21-68074. A public hearing will be held regarding a proposed brownfield area designation for the rehabilitation and redevelopment of one parcel, approximately 25.96 acres in size, located at 7210 Interbay Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33616. This public hearing will be held at the Elk Lodge, located at 3616 West Gandy, Tampa, Florida, 33611 on May 4th, 2021 at 5:30 p.m. until not later than 6:30 p.m. As a precaution during the COVID-19 pandemic, masks will be required for entry to the hearing, and the seating will be set up in a manner to ensure social distancing is maintained. Hand sanitizer will also be available for all participants. Request for City Council to announce the date, time, and location of a public hearing to be held for the proposed brownfield area designation of Interbay Boulevard, Interbay redevelopment area brownfield area designation located at 7210 Interbay Boulevard, Tampa, Florida, 33616.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Moran.
Mr. Chair,
Yes?
This is Jan McLean, Office City Attorney. There's no vote that's needed on this item. We just have the announcement read.
Receive and file.
Let's get a motion to receive and file then. Motion from Councilman Goode, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right. Next up, Transportation Committee, Councilmember Viera, 34 and 35. We'll take 36 separately.
Yes, sir. So move 34 and 35.
We have a motion from Councilman Viera. Do we have a second? Second from Councilman Goode. Roll call vote.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Goode, Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
All right, Councilman Carlson's going to step out. We're going to take the remaining items on a separate vote. Item number 20, if I can get a motion to move this item.
So move.
We have a motion from Councilman Goode, second from Councilman Citro. Roll call vote.
Miranda,
Yes.
Viera,
Yes.
Goode, Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson, Citro,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Carlson abstaining.
Next is item number 26. Can I get a motion?
We'll move
Motion.
26 and 36. How about that?
But they're two separate committees. Well,
That's not.
that's fine. All right, Councilman Dingfelder, motion to move 26 and 36, second from Councilman Goods. Roll call vote.
Viera.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson. Citro. Miranda.
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Carlson abstaining.
Twice as fast, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir. Councilman Carlson, you can come back in. All right, can I get a motion to open public hearings 37 through, well, it's already past 10:30. So 37 through 47. All right, motion from Councilman Booth, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor? Aye. All right. All hearings are open. Item number 37, this is a second reading. Is there anybody here for item number 37? Mr. Vic Bidet?
Good morning, Mr. Chair. This is Jan McLean with the Office of City Attorney and Vic Bidet with the Mobility, Director of the Mobility Department. We are here to answer any questions. This is a second reading of the ordinance considered previously by council.
Any questions or comments? Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of my biggest objections to this, and this goes all the way back to November, or the fall when we first adopted it, is that I think it's a tremendous delegation of council's powers. I think that that's a dangerous precedent. I think that, and the reason I say that, it's not a power trip, but it's a function of the community's ability to have input to city government, and that's through city council. And we saw that as related to some of the church issues that related to this, to the, I'd say, church issues, some of the Sunday parking issues as related to this. The administration did one thing, and then they basically ignored the community's concerns about the Sunday parking. And if it wasn't for this council and our ability to address that particular part of the ordinance, that I don't believe it would have been fixed. So I think in this type of thing where these things impact on a day-to-day basis the community, that we shouldn't delegate those authorities, and that's why I voted against it, and I'll continue to vote against it.
Councilman Miranda.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate anything that any council member, my colleagues say, and I appreciate their interest and their feelings about certain matters. However, this is a clear understanding of what government is all about. It's not about what they want, meaning the administration. It's not about what we want, meaning the council. It's an idealism of meeting somewhere in the middle, having a discussion, and coming up with a result. And if you think Washington is bad, I don't want that type of feeling. And I'm not talking about all of Washington. I'm talking about certain individuals. When you come down to local governments, I don't want to be like they are. And I'm not in any way making any assertion about any member sitting on this council. But this is a project, a process that has worked out. You see, when you go back in history, this wasn't started yesterday. This was started many, 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 many years ago. By the way, I don't believe I was here when that happened. I had served prior and served after. This is the parking regulations that we so gave to been what I call a mistake or an error in judgment. South of Kennedy was one thing, north of Kennedy was another during different times. Yes, this was not involved at that time because it was all free. However, because that incident and another incident about selling a parking garage caused this department to be in the red. And when this department's in the red, who's paying for it? The total residents of this city. Not those that use downtown on a regular basis, but the total residents of the city. I'll say that again. So what we have here is a workable document that was worked out with this council and the administration through the legal process of the avenues to come up with a workable agreement, at least for some period of time, to understand what's going on and what's going to happen. Many years ago, there was over 600 residents, and 300 of them were serving jail time next to the expressway at the jailhouse. We had nothing. You see, evolution changes, time changes. People try to stay somewhat realistic, or you can have opinions on one side or the other, but somehow we work it out. But history, when it's history, once it's stamped, you can't go back and rechange it. You can only amend it to make it better. This is one of the cases that we're amending something to make it workable. Did we like what came down? Absolutely not. Did they like what going up to them? Maybe absolutely not too. I can't speak for them. But this is an agreement that was hammered out, worked out in the open public. There was nothing hidden about this. And I appreciate the concentration of all council members. And it's not about your vote, for or against. That doesn't matter. It matters that we worked it out. Sometimes I vote alone. That doesn't mean that I'm right. That means that's how I feel. And history will judge us all if you were right or wrong at that period of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. Who would like to read this motion? Councilman,
I'll read it, Mr. Chairman.
Go ahead, Councilman Miranda. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Item number 37, file number E20-21-8, Chapter 13. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance of the City of Tampa, Florida, related to parking meter regulation, making revisions of the City of Tampa Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, parking, amending Articles 2, regulation, permits, penalties, Division 2, parking meter regulation, Section 15-81, hours of operation for parking meters, repealing all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict therein, providing for severability, providing an effective date. Said motion on first reading has been initiated by Citro and Miranda, March 18, 2021.
Very good. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Carlson. And Councilman Goode, you have a question, sir?
Mr. Vidi's on the line.
Yes, he is.
Just want to make sure that the provisions that we talked about earlier as it relates to EBOR and those other suggestive items are going to be agreed upon.
Yes, sir. I assure you, as discussed, we're working on those items as we speak. We've met with more stakeholders with EBOR yesterday, and that process is continuing.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Miranda, second from Councilmember Carlson, and a roll call vote, please.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goode.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
No.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
No.
Motion carried with Dingfelder and Maniscalco voting no.
Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, just while we're on this topic, I want to congratulate Mr. Bide and his staff for the technology that they're putting in. I think the first site that I've seen anyway is at the Poe Garage. I know you said you're going to be making things accessible to lots of apps, but going to the arts groups over in that area, I use that, and to the parks, I use that one a lot. As my company's in EBOR, so I use those, and of course the ones down here. But the technology is working really well, and I look forward to what you all be developing in terms of customer service to make it faster for people to go in and out of our parking garages. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. We've opened all the public hearings, so we go to item number 38. These are all second readings. These are the designations for the different parks and whatnot. So,
City Council, if I may, item number 38 is TACPA 20-33. It is a second reading for property located at 105 West Lye Avenue from public, semi-public to community commercial 35. And I'm available for any questions.
do we have any questions at this time? No? Do we have anybody in the public that is here to speak on item number 38? We do not. Can I get a motion to close?
Close.
We have a motion to close for Councilman Carlson, second for Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Councilman Dingfelder, would you mind reading item number 38?
Be glad to, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Ms. Malone. Regard to item 38, file number TACPA 20-33. I'll read the following ordinance for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan future land use element. Future land use map for the property located at 105 West Sly Avenue from public, semi-public to community commercial 35, providing for repeal of ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Dingfelder and a second from Councilman Citro. Roll call vote.
Goose.
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Miranda is not, you're muted, sir.
Yes.
Vieira, and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Vieira being absent at vote.
Thank you very much. Next is item number 39.
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. Item number 39 is for Bay to Bay Boulevard Park from residential 6 to recreational open space. This is retaining the use as a park, and it'll be recognized on the future land use map. I'm available for any questions.
Any questions? Do we have anybody in the public that's here to speak on item number 39?
No one is ready.
We do. We have a motion closed from Councilman Good, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Councilmember Citro, would you mind reading item number 39?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. File number TACPA 20-35, an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 2711 North Dundee Street from residential 6, R6, to recreational open space, ROS, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing for an effective date.
Second. We have a motion from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Vieira. Roll call vote.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir. Item number 40.
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. Item number 40 is TACPA 20-36, recognizing Cyrus Green Park under the recreational open space future land use designation. I'm available for any questions.
Do we have any questions? All right. We do not. Do we have anybody in the public that is here to speak?
No one is registered.
All right. We have a motion closed from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilman Goods. All in favor? Aye. Councilmember Carlson, would you mind reading item number 40?
I'd like to move file number TACPA 20-36, ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. Ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 2101 East Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard, otherwise known as Cyrus Green Park, from Community Commercial 35, CC 35 in recreational open space ROS to recreational open space ROS, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Miranda. Roll call vote.
Citro, Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Citro being absent at vote.
Next up is item number 41.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission. Item number 41 is TACPA 20-37. It is Phillips Park from residential 10 to recreational open space, and I'm available for questions.
Do we have any questions at this time? We do not. Do we have anybody in the public that is here to speak? I was told that the second floor is empty of anyone. Just an FYI, do we have anybody registered for this item?
No one is registered for any of the items.
All right, motion closed from Councilman Goods. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Councilman Goods, would you mind reading item number 41?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. File number TA-CPA 20-37. Ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the property located at 804 West Columbus Drive, otherwise known as Phillips Park, for residential 10 R10 to residential open space, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilman Goods, second from Councilman Miranda. Roll call vote.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro, Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right. Next up is one of my favorite parts, item number 42.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission. Item 42 is TACPA 20-38. It is the Villa Brothers Park from residential 20 to recreational open space.
Do you have any questions or comments? Anybody in the public wishing to speak on item number 42? Can we get a motion to close? Motion closed from Councilman Miranda, second from Councilman Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right. We went down the list. Councilmember Miranda, would you mind reading item number 42?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Move file number TACPA 20-38. Move an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Image 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map, for the location at 700 North Amenia Avenue, otherwise known as Villa Brother Park, from residential 20, R-20 to recreation/open space ROS, providing for repeal of all ordinance in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
We have a motion from Councilmember Miranda. Do we have a second? Second from Councilman Member Vieira. Roll call vote.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goods. Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously with Goods being absent at vote.
All right. Next is item number 43. I'm sorry, 43.
Jennifer Malone with your Planning Commission. Item 43 is TACPA 20-39, recognizing the Robert C. Gardner Park from recreational residential 35 to recreational open space, and I am available for questions.
Any questions or comments? Do we have anybody in the public that wishes to speak on item number 43? Can I get a motion to close?
So moved.
So moved.
Motion to close from Councilman Citro, second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Councilmember Dingfelder, would you mind reading item number 43?
Sure, Mr. Chairman. In regard to file TACPA 20-39, I'll move the following ordinance for second reading and adoption. An ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map, for the property generally located at 2211 North Highland Avenue, otherwise known as Robert C. Gardner Park, from residential 35 R35 to recreational open space ROS, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second.
Councilman Dingfelder, second from Councilman Miranda. Roll call vote.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Item number 44, our last second reading. Go ahead, ma'am.
Jennifer Malone with the Planning Commission. Item number 44 is TACPA 20-40. It is recognizing the Marty Collins Cemetery from public, semi-public to recreational open space, and I'm available for questions.
Any questions? Do we have anybody in the public here for item number 44? Can we get a motion to close? Motion to close from Councilman Good, second from Councilman Miranda. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Vieira, 44, please.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I move an ordinance being presented for second reading and adoption, an ordinance amending the Imagine 2040 Tampa Comprehensive Plan, future land use element, future land use map for the park or property located at 3110 West Columbus Drive, otherwise known as Marti Colon Cemetery, from public, semi-public, SRP/SP, and community commercial 35, CC 35, to recreation open space, R/OS, providing for repeal of all ordinances in conflict, providing for severability, providing an effective date.
Second. Second from Councilmember Citro. Roll call vote.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Vieira. And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Alrighty, we've already opened the 10:30 a.m. public hearings with the original motion to open everything at once. Item number 45, there's a request from Mr. Michelini, the petition representative, that this be removed or withdrawn from the agenda. Can we get a motion to withdraw item 45?
Motion to withdraw.
Second.
Motion to withdraw from Councilmember Good, second from Councilmember Citro. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, item number 46, we have a letter from Mr. John Grandoff, the petitioner's representative, requesting that the review hearing be reset for a date in May or June. I know May is filling up, so I was thinking June 17th.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. There may be some people who are present to speak to that, either signed in or downstairs. Could we confirm?
Do we have anybody here for 46? Was there a virtual speaker for 46?
No, I have no one registered for this item.
Okay. Is there anybody in person? I know that the room is empty, but just for safety, is there anybody on the second floor for public comment? On 46? Nope. All
Move to
right.
reset on file number VRB 20-60C till June 17th.
We have a motion from Councilmember Citro, second from Councilmember Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Item number 47. This is to vacate an alley. Whom do we have here for 47?
Could we go back to the previous motion, Councilman? Did you set the time on that?
9 a.m.
Wait, 10:30.
Excuse me, 10:30.
All right.
Okay,
10:30,
and
June
by the way,
17th.
just so I guess the petitioner and the interested persons will learn of that
Yes.
through this meeting and through the action agenda and perhaps through the staff. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. Item number 47.
Yeah, this is Ross Sammons with Development Management Division and Development Coordination Division. Bringing forward item number 47, file number VAC 21-05.
Sir, before you continue, please raise your right hand. We're going to swear you in. Sorry. And I see another gentleman on the line. Bishop is the last name. If you're speaking on item 47, just raise your right hand. We'll swear you in. All right.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you're about to give is the truth and nothing but the truth? Thank you.
All right. Sorry for the interruption, sir. Go ahead.
You're fine. If the clerk could please share my screen.
If we could share the screen. All righty. It's coming up. Go ahead, sir.
Okay. Let me make sure that I'm sharing the proper
I see
one
the
here.
City of Tampa logo as the background. Is that your screen? There we go. I see the PowerPoint. Just make it bigger and we'll go from there.
Swap it then. Okay.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. The applicants, they wish to vacate the east and west portion of an unimproved alley lying south of Curtis Street, north of Hilda Street, and east of North Boulevard and west of Clearfield Avenue. This alley was created per the subdivision plat of John H. Drew's first extension. It's located near McFarland Park. Just a little bit of a background for this application. The co-applicants own parcels on the north side of the alley, and the applicant's reason for application is because the applicants both purchased homes from Neal Homes, and the alley was fenced at the time of purchase, and they were requesting that the alley be vacated and the fence was allowed to remain as is. The portion of the alley is not in use by adjacent neighbors, and it'll be easier to maintain for everyone if vacated. I wanted to let everyone know there are code violations for both addresses for a fence in the alley, and that's obvious because of the purchase and previous. As you'll see here, parcels outlined in red are the ones in question. The alleyway is in yellow. Here's Clearfield Avenue. Currently, this is unimproved. It's not being used. Also, again, here, there's a north-south section that is not to be vacated. Only the east and west section here. Again, this is a portion of the plat of Spring Heights, and it's Plat Book 23, page 71. Here's the alleyway looking west from Clearfield Avenue. And there's the fence in question. Here's an alleyway looking north from Hilda Street. This is the north and south portion of the alley that's not to be vacated. And also, again, looking south from Curtis Street, this is the north and south portion of the alley not to be vacated. There's an access to a garage behind 606 West Curtis Street. And this is the same image previous before the fence was erected from the previous slide. This is a continuation of the platted alley. This is looking east from Clearfield Avenue. And this was vacated by Ordinance 9181A in 1985. This is the applicant's property looking south from Curtis Street. And the co-applicant's property looking south from Curtis Street. And currently the staff have no objections to vacating requested based on responses received from the reviewing agencies. If the vacating request is approved by council, easements for wastewater and frontier will need to be reserved overall, and conditions for natural resources must be included in approving ordinance.
Did we already hear from staff?
Have any questions?
Okay, any questions for Mr. Salmons?
Salmon.
Thank you. Any questions? First bite of the apple.
Close?
Okay. Okay.
Oh, he's
I'm sorry.
Say something.
Who is the? I didn't get it either. Sorry, petitioner. Mr. Bishop.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I could have sworn he was actually the petitioner. Mr. Bishop, please proceed.
Oh, I was just here on behalf of Benjamin and Catherine, as well as Derek Geyer and Bruno Lima, who we did build 604 Curtis on the floor. And I'm open for any questions if anybody has one.
Do you have any questions for the gentleman? All right, hearing none, do we have anyone in the public that is here to speak on item number 47? Anybody for item 47? I know the room is empty, but
Move to close.
Asking out of caution.
Second.
Councilman Citro with the motion to close. Councilman Goods with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
All right. Councilman Citro, would you like to take this item 47?
Yes, sir. File number VAC 21-05. Ordinance being presented for first reading consideration, an ordinance vacating, closing, discontinuing, and abandoning a portion of the right-of-way alleyway located south of Curtis Street, north of Hilda Street, east of North Boulevard, and west of Clearfield Avenue within the revised plan of Spring Heights, a subdivision of the City of Tampa, Hillsborough County, Florida, as more fully described in Section 1 hereof, subject to certain easement reservations, covenants, conditions, restrictions, and more particularly set forth herein, providing an effective date.
So
We have a motion from Councilman Citro, second from Councilmember Goods. Roll call vote.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
No.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried with Carlson voting no. Second reading and adoption will be held on May 20th, 2021 at 9:30 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
That concludes the early part of the agenda, so we are ahead of schedule. We're going to move into staff reports and unfinished business. For item 48, it does say administration update. I don't believe the chief of staff had anything. If the chief of staff is on the line, I know we are moving quicker than usual. Is he or no? No? Okay, we'll hold off on that, but we do have Mr. Brad Baird. We'll go to item number 49. I know we have a memo here for this $4.4 million item. Are there any questions for Mr. Baird? Councilman Dingfelder, I know you
Yes,
or
sir.
Councilman Goods mentioned earlier.
I didn't have anything. Good morning, Brad. I didn't have anything on item 49. Item 50 and 51, specifically item 50, I wanted Mr. Baird to publicly tell us the WIMBY percentages, because I think they are greatly improved and improving. and I think that's something the community should know about. We're not done, but we're getting better.
Do you want me to address item 49?
No,
first,
just 50.
Just 50.
Somebody
50,
else might
51?
have a question on 49, I don't know.
Okay, good morning, City Council. Brad Baird, Deputy Administrator of Infrastructure. Item 50 is construction of the David L. Tippin Water Treatment Facility High Service Pumping Station and miscellaneous improvements. It includes new chlorine contact basin, new center clear well, backwash pumping station, miscellaneous improvements to the blending chamber, and of course the high service pumping station itself, which is basically the heart of our treatment plant that provides the pressure throughout our system. The WMBE participation in total, we have 15 firms that were certified by the city. A total of 12.3% goal was achieved at $8.1 million, of which we had BBE participation of 8.6%, and that was a total of 6 firms. WBE participation of 2.9%, and that was a total of 3 firms. And HBE participation of 0.64%, and I believe that was 3 firms as well. And finally, SLBE participation of 0.14%, and that was 3 firms as well. So we did a very good job of working with the design build team to maximize participation on this project.
Mr. Chairman and Brad, I just wanted to thank you and your team and Mr. Hart and everybody else who's involved for those greatly improved numbers. Thank you. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Councilman Goods and Councilman Carlson.
So, Mr. Beard, I think we're trying to find a formula to find our way now. It seems that way as we're moving up the ladder. So I want to commend you and your department for understanding what council's intent is and understanding that, you know, we're hearing from folks and we want to make sure that everyone's getting an opportunity. And it seems like you guys are gotten the message, and I appreciate you working so hard to keep those numbers moving. So thank you for the good work effort, sir.
Thank you very much, Councilman Carlson.
Yeah, I asked this question privately by email, but I just wanted to ask it publicly so the public can see. On these 3 items, can you just assure us that none of that money or none of those projects are to fund or support toilet to tap? It's for the ongoing operations of the water department, correct?
That is correct, Councilman.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Anybody else? No? So who would like to move item number 49?
I'll move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion from Councilman Good, second from Councilman Vieira. Roll call vote.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Next is item number 50, which is part 1 of part 2 to 51. Any questions or comments, Councilman Dingfelder or anybody else for 50, or that has addressed everything, sir?
I'm good.
All right, can we get a motion? We have a motion from Councilman Good, second from?
Second.
Second from Councilman Citro. This is item number 50. Roll call vote.
Citro,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Next is 51, which is part 2. Go ahead. Who wishes to move this resolution? Motion
Second.
from Councilman Good, second from Councilman Citro. Roll call vote.
Miranda,
Yes.
Vieira,
Yes.
Goods,
Yes.
Dingfelder,
Yes.
Carlson,
Yes.
Citro,
Yes.
and Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
Thank you very much. Before we go to Mr. Rosner for 52, Councilman Dingfelder pulled item number 22. If there's anybody here to address item number 22, It was an agreement between the city and Catholic Charities, I believe. Mr. O'Hara, are you here for that one, sir?
Yeah, let me just.
Yes, sir.
Let me give the preface, and it will abbreviate this tremendously. So this, to the best of my knowledge, this is a $17 million pass-through item. We've been passing through a lot of federal money to.
17,000.
17,000.
17,000, yes. We've been. Why did I think it was 17 million? Well, no wonder I jumped out at this. Okay. Well, I misread it. I thought it was 17 million, so I need to get new glasses, and I'll pass on this one. I'm fine with it.
We have a great insurance plan through the city for vision, and you'll only pay about $15 or $20 out of pocket. I used it, and I recommend it. Vision works.
All right. I can handle it. I can handle it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Dennis. I'm fine with it.
LASIK also works.
Wait, Councilman Miranda.
I just want Mr. O'Hara, since he's here, just to explain it and make sure that, you mean 75,000, 75 million means the same thing. It's still public funds, Mr. O'Hara, if I may.
Yes, sir. No, thank you. And I believe, Mr. Dingfelder, you saw this in my email. All of the funding we get from the federal government is scrutinized eventually by our external auditors as part of the Single Audit Act. And when I say all of it eventually, the good news is we're a low-risk grantee. So they'll come in, the external auditors will review a minimum of 20% of our federal funding. Now, having said that, what they always do every year is scrutinize our internal controls process to make sure that we're spending the money in accordance with what the federal government told us to spend it on. And that's really the purpose of the Single Audit Act. It comes out of the Federal Office of Management and Budget. And there's a special emphasis on large and new amounts. A great example of that, of course, is the CARES funding that we just received or recently received from the federal government via the county.
And Abby Feely, Director of Development and Growth Management, if I could just supplement that, Dennis, in relation to the item that's on your agenda today, Council, this was an amendment to an existing agreement that the city does have with Catholic Charities for an additional $17,000 of CARES Act money. That money was previously distributed to another organization that was not on target to spend it. And in lieu of having to return the money to the federal government, we are amending a current agreement given that Catholic Charities is on target to expend those funds. These funds are to help homeless and those at risk of becoming homeless. And we do monthly audits as well as annual on-site visits as part of our own monitoring of the fund expenditure.
Well, thank you again, Mr. Chairman, and I apologize for my bad vision.
And Miss Feely, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
I know it was yesterday, but since we're always wishing happy birthdays, we don't want to forget you, and we thank you for all your hard work. And Mr. O'Hara, I didn't expect to see you today, even virtually, but I am wearing Batman socks. I know you're a big bat. I see the bat logo behind you. You can't see them, but got the bat socks.
I appreciate your efforts.
Yes, sir. Always in support. Do we have a motion to move item number 22?
So moved.
Motion from Councilman Dingfelder, second from Councilman Goods. Roll call vote.
Vieira.
Yes.
Goods.
Yes.
Dingfelder.
Yes.
Carlson.
Yes.
Citro.
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
And Maniscalco.
Yes.
Motion carried unanimously.
All right, that concludes all my jokes. We go to item number 52, Rob Rosner.
Good morning, Council. Pleasure to be here today. We have provided you with a memo of the report that we had promised from last November, looking at the items that you requested us to look at for the Union Station and possibility of an RFP and what that might be. I know you've had a chance to read it ahead of time. Did you want to start with any questions, or did you want me to just go over?
Councilman Carlson, this was your motion, so if you'd like to begin anything.
No, I just would like to thank you all for taking this proposal seriously. I know that community groups are working with you all on it, and hopefully if it works, it'll be the first step in many. We need more space for entrepreneurs to be able to meet. And everyone who's looked at it thinks that this is an opportunity to have a win-win. We'll have a more vibrant transportation hub, but we'll also be able to support entrepreneurs. At some point, I can do it in new business or now, but I'd like to make a motion to schedule for them to come back maybe in October to give an update on it then.
All right. I think your motion is great. The idea is great for Tampa Union Station, which is a beautiful 100-year-old plus building that was in ruins at one point, and I believe under the Greco administration they restored it, but it's such an iconic building. And being that the railroad is so important to the development of Tampa beyond the cigar industry, when you had Henry Plant along with Henry Flagler on the East Coast bring the railroad down here, so to move in this direction to further preserve and utilize Union Station, this is a great idea, Councilman Carlson. Mr. Rosner? Anything? Or
I'm happy to answer any other questions that you might have. And
right.
Our recommendation was to talk a little further.
Do you want to talk about it more later in October, as Councilman Carlson indicated?
Correct. No further action until this fall.
All right, Councilman Carlson, you want to make the motion now since we're on the topic? October 21st is a regular meeting.
Yeah, that would be great. And also, I should say, there have been a lot of people involved in Tampa Union Station over the years, but Jackson McQuigg and his father helped lead the effort 20 plus years ago, and his dad passed away in the last year and left some money that they're going to privately donate to help with the restoration as well. I'd like to make a motion to schedule the Tampa Union Station Coffee Shop Incubator proposal update on October 21st during staff reports.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilman Goods, second from Councilmember, I'm sorry, a motion from Councilman Carlson, second from Councilman Goods. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Aye.
No. Councilman Citro?
Oh, go ahead. I'm just going to make a statement after the vote, that's all.
No, vote's done. Go ahead.
All right, no, with hopes that Bright Line will be coming to this city.
Amen.
This will be an attractive location. So thank you, Councilman Carlson, for bringing this up.
Yes, sir. You got it. All right. Thank you, Mr. Rosner. Next up, FDOT, but I didn't expect to move so quickly with this agenda. I had them scheduled to come back after lunch at 1:30, time certain. I know we have the secretary most likely and other team members, so we will wait for FDOT until 1:30. The discussion on item 58, I'm sure, will be lengthy, so that will come after FDOT. Next is item number 54, proposed by Councilmember Dingfelder. If we have Ms. Osio Wynn on the line regarding the report for a park and channel side to be named after Councilmember Linda Salcena. If Osio Wynn is on the line.
Mr. Chairman, let me just preface this because it appears it's also, her memo references the legal department. But, the council's been asking about naming this, naming that. I think virtually every council member has proposed some sort of naming, and we're all in favor of it. And I think it's good for the community. And we keep getting the same memo, like, oh, they're working on a policy. They're working on a policy. So I would like to have some finality in terms of when we're going to see this policy, if we're going to see this policy. And that council would be included in the policy. So it doesn't just relate to honoring Ms. Salcena, who should be honored, but it relates to several of these requests. Thank you, Ms. Grimes.
Ms. Grimes.
Yes, Gina Grimes, City Attorney. Mr. Dingfelder, just 1 month ago, we did send a memo to council explaining that this was on March 18th when a request came up to rename some streets. We brought to the council's attention that the manner in which streets are named in honor of certain individuals, or for that matter, parks, any other public facilities, there's not been a consistent and equitable procedure. And it appears that only those that are brought to the attention of the city council are the ones that are addressed. And so what the administration proposed was to create a committee and a process, a policy, whereby everybody would be treated equally, and their application would be reviewed. We also considered even allowing the public to submit applications if they thought it was appropriate to name either a street or some other public facility after an individual that's contributed to the community. So it's a process that we have to develop. And in that memo last month, we did say that we would report back to you once we had it moved further along. I know, I can't speak for Ms. Nguyen, but I know for our department, we currently have 28 motions of city council that have to be addressed by the end of May. And I have also, I believe, 9 requests from individual council members for assistance in various matters. So while I would like to get this done as quickly as possible, as would the administration, we have a substantial workload, and we're doing the best we can, and we'll get back to you whenever we have some further information to provide.
Well, thank you, Ms. Grange, for that comprehensive response. And Mr. Chairman, with that, I'd like to continue item 54 for 60 days, 2 months.
All right, that would bring us into June. Let me get a date. Let's do it under staff reports, June 17th, regular city council meeting.
Thank you.
Motion from Councilman Dingfelder was a second from Vieira. Councilman Vieira with the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All righty. Next is item number 55. Is Sharisha Hills on the line? If not, we do have a memo regarding additional lighting at Tacoma Park. There she is. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good morning, Council. Sharisha Hills, Interim Director. Yes, so currently we have security lighting that's at Tacoma Park. We will be doing an assessment as part of our citywide master plan that will look at the lighting needs and assessment at each individual park. So this will be a part of that package when they roll out our master plan next year.
All right. Councilman Vieira, yes, sir.
And thank you, and thank you, Ms. Hills, for your hard work in this regard. I always love working with you. With regards to this, I'll probably be, putting this as on my list and capital improvements proposed for the fiscal year budget. I don't think it would cost that much. Just every time I go out there with my good friends at the Terrace Park Neighborhood Association in the evening, it's I'm not a lighting expert or anything, but it really seems to just be in need of a little bit more light. And next time I'm out there, I'll probably take a video or something of that nature. But I appreciate your memo and your response, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. That concludes that. I have more good news today. FDOT is ready for their presentation now. It shouldn't be more than 15 minutes, so we can get that out of the way. And all we really will have left is the very brief item number 58. So let's go with FDOT. If you're on, I see you are, and you have a PowerPoint presentation, I believe. If you'd like to begin, go ahead, sir.
Yes, good morning, Council. We submitted the PowerPoint presentation beforehand, so if you could bring that up, that'd be helpful. Thank you. But in the meantime, I'll go ahead and introduce myself. I'm actually on city staff. My name is Brandon Campbell, and I am the Smart Mobility Manager. So just where we fit in the organization, we are one of the 5 divisions of the Mobility Department. And among other responsibilities, we have the Traffic Management Center and our traffic signals from design to construction to operation and maintenance. So we've been working very closely with FDOT on this project, and I'm going to give you a quick overview of the history and sort of the intent of the project, and then I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kevin Lee, who is FDOT's project manager, to give you some of the more fine-grained details, and then we can answer any questions you might have afterwards. So the project is the Advanced Traffic Management System, and if you could advance to the next slide. Just a little history on our traffic management systems in the city. We've had for a long time a centralized traffic control system, and if you look at the top left of your screen. This is sort of the legacy system that's been in place that we still have hanging on, that's got a connection to a few of our remaining signals. What you see is downtown. Those are actually have already moved to the newer system, but just for a comparison, it was a cutting edge technology, I'll say 25 to 30 years ago, that was based on a twisted pair copper communication system. So if you think back to your home-based internet evolution, more or less it's like having a dial-up modem. It was great for sending data back and forth to signals, but it was not comprehensive enough for us to address modern traffic control needs. And in fact, and before we had started implementing our modern system, we had days where in order to get real-time intelligence, we'd have people out with binoculars on top of the football stadium and the like, and being on the phone back with our traffic management center. So what we have started to do several years ago was to move to a new generation of advanced traffic management system. If you look at the bottom of your screen, that bottom half is what had begun to be implemented about 6 years ago, and what then was intended to be the first phase of a 4-phase project to deploy across the city. That covered the stadium, airport, West Shore area, and gave us the next generation, or the current generation of traffic control. Since that time, the remainder of the city, the 3 phases that had been separate projects, were combined into one large design build project, and that's what we're here today to talk about. So we've got the old generation, the current generation, and then also wanted to highlight that this project is meant to bring the next generation of traffic control and of active traffic management to our city. The system that's in the top right it's called Waycare. It's something that we've done some piloting with, and that we are getting with this project on a full-scale basis that gives us access to some real-time intelligence, early incident detection, and the like. And we're really excited about what that's bringing to the city. Next slide, please. So overall project goals, I mean, we want to use what we're doing to implement state-of-the-practice technologies. So I mentioned the old days of observing traffic through binoculars. We have deployed on the order of 75 to 100 cameras already within our high-speed communication network that has been deployed and is growing. We are expanding the reach of that, where we are adding additional cameras for monitoring and responding to real-time needs of traffic. So basically, more or less doubling our camera coverage. But we also want to build for the future. This project is, I won't say primarily, but fundamentally, it's about extending the high-speed communication network through the deployment of fiber and high-speed radio technology that we can leverage for both the traffic control that we are implementing and have been growing in the last decade or so, but also can leverage for additional technologies as they come online. And I know that you all mentioned earlier the new parking systems that we've started to deploy within our department. Even those sorts of things are going to be better enabled by having better communication throughout the city. So we're really excited about that. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Kevin Lee, who is the FDOT project manager, to again get into some of the finer details of the project.
Hey, good morning, Ms. Councils. If you could go on to the next slide. So once again, the project itself is a design build project. It was led on give and take about 9 months ago. It's going to lead all the way to September 2023. The overall cost of the construction is $38 million. Once again, thank you to Brandon and Vic. This was written, solely really written for City of Tampa from RFP from beginning to the end. Once again, it's for the future. I think just Brandon kind of elaborate what we need for the City of Tampa. As a City of Tampa residents, obviously, I'd like to see that going, and I think they're on track to make that happen. If you could go on to the next slide. So some of these benefits are obviously, more than anything else, we want to reduce congestions and improve the safety. I think that's always been our mission goal for DOT. Zero safety improvement. We want to have no accident, no pedestrian incidents, nothing whatsoever. I don't know if this can accomplish that, but we're getting there to that point. And more than anything else, we could reduce the travel time, including the travel choices. We're going to expand it with this job. And not only that, we will give improvement to emergency response. So basically, if something were to see through the TMC Center, with the outdated copper wires, with the fiber optic cables, they get to see live stream, live things, what's going on those intersections, and they can respond to it accordingly. If you go on to the next slide. So this gets into numbers. It's a little boring, but let me get into a little bit more. So basically, we're going to install 458,000 linear feet of conduit, and including we're going to upgrade outdated copper to a fiber of 650,000 linear feet throughout the city of Tampa. And also, we're going to include 63 intersections with the CCTV cameras. And you can see the traffic flow detector system, which is on your right screen on the bottom. So they can give you a distance of the vehicle, they can give you speed, on speed as we see it, and also estimate arrival time. So we will have 44 intersections. Also, we work with City of Tampa Drainage Department to include roadway flood sensors on 50 different locations. If you can go on to the next slide. I think just Brandon kind of alluded in the beginning side of things. We will install this software that give you the real-time traffic through the TMC Center. But not only this, I think we'll work with other agencies as well, and compared to Hillsborough County system. So they will expect to interlink with Hillsborough County, and not only that, they will interconnect with the HART system as well. And so we will have all this other agency kind of interconnects with City of Tampa with this brand new software and new systems. And we will have 355 new signal controller, including 60 UPS. So what does the UPS uninterruptible power supply is? Let's say hurricane comes and the power goes out. We will have another 12 to 24-hour sustained power system that controls the signals without losing any uninterrupted powers whatsoever. So even the hurricane comes, the signal will be still going as we're moving forward. And then including, we will replace some of these outdated servers and the workstation and switches and firewall to the routers. If you go on to the next slide. These are some ongoing construction pictures. I'm sure you guys seen it throughout the city of Tampa, but there's a few more slides that kind of give you, go on to the next one. Show what we're doing in the directional board side of things, going underneath the sidewalk, and within once again, the confined space of right-of-way. From right-of-way, we're not going outside of the right-of-way. And go on to the next slide. And this is pretty much it. Once again, I want to thank Brandon and Vic and the councils for letting us to present what's going on with City of Tampa projects. But once again, this was solely written so that we can help the city to benefit the future for the next 20 to 25 years.
Thank you very much. I know this may not be the proper forum, but throughout the city where the interstate, which goes through much of my district, at Dale Mabry, at Armenia, to get on the on and off ramps of 275, and there might be other areas, but the streets that are city streets, for example, Main Street, we have our signals. They do not fall in line with the traffic signals at the interstate. So you'll see you're sitting there 5-10 minutes at Main Street in Armenia at a red light, while the interstate, the interstate lights are green. The light turns green on Main Street and it goes right into red light. So it just, it creates an obstruction there. Even Dale Mabry, which is much heavier. It's easier to take a lot of side streets, which is now dumping traffic to Lois and Himes and McDill, because Dale Mabry has the Spruce light, the Columbus light, smaller lights in between, the light to get into the Home Depot Super Target. It's not coordinated, it's not synchronized, and it just creates gridlock for no reason. So I don't know if that's, we talked about the advanced traffic management system. I see here in in downtown Tampa, as we leave City Hall, the lights are synchronized going north on Florida and south on Tampa Street. And it has a sign that says 30 miles an hour, meaning as long as you're going 30, you're going to hit the green as you keep going up. But we don't have that in other cities, and it's causing more traffic backup for really no reason. I know we have a lot of traffic, but signalization and timing is a significant part of that. So if, I can talk to other people in your office about this, but since you're here, I was at a coffee shop this morning, and a gentleman and his wife that I knew said, "Hey, what are we going to do about these, Dale May," everything that I said. And I said, "Yeah, I was actually stuck at those lights 10 minutes ago too." Anyways, for morning traffic, I know it creates a little bit of a backup. I'll stop there. Councilman Goods, sir?
Mine doesn't relate to traffic signals. It more relates to underneath the underpasses, especially between Floyd-Braska and Talaferro. We have a problem with folks living underneath the interstate, and I don't want to dismiss the homeless or anything like that, but what is happening is several community residents have called because individuals are defecating, using the bathroom underneath those, and exposing themselves at the lights while people are trying to wait the traffic to get to the next destination. So I don't know if there's a process. I've asked for them to clean it up, and they did a great job of going out there, but it's a mess again, and it just creates a slum and blight, and I just want to see if we can have a mechanism in place that we can maybe put a fencing up closer up to that area underneath it or something to keep the area clean, because it has become really a hazard.
Absolutely. Councilman Dingfelder.
Well, just as a follow-on to Mr. Good's statement, whose responsibility is that underneath the interstate? Mr. Lee or Mr. Campbell?
Well, I guess I would say it's kind of a complex issue involving both law enforcement and I suppose FDOT on the cleanup. Looks like Secretary Gwynn and Vic are on. I'll let you both respond.
Yeah. Good morning. Actually, that's our right of way, so we're responsible for making sure that it keeps clean, and we work with law enforcement as well as the local agencies to determine how best to approach the homeless issue, because certainly we are not the agency that would go out and enforce any restrictions. We would rely on law enforcement to do that, but we also have to at times put up signs so they have something to enforce, whether it be no loitering, no trespassing. Sometimes we do put fencing up. The truth is, even in the places we have fencing, a lot of these folks find ways to get in there, and in fact, some I think like behind the fences better than they do with no fence. And so that doesn't completely solve the problem, but we can certainly look at if there's a good application at one of those locations that might help to keep it cleaner and maybe keep some of the homeless people from camping out under, especially if they're causing a safety problem.
Mr. Secretary, thank you for popping in there. And again, it's not to put people in jail or bash the homeless, but it's become more of a bigger problem. Again, with the urination, defecation, people exposing themselves, and the abundance of trash that's underneath the interstate and is coming down to the roadside, and everything, urine is sliding down on the slope there, and people are watching. And that's just my concern. But the people in my district are complaining about it. The residents right there, and especially at a real, that's a real busy spot. I'm glad we were able to keep that intersection open at Floyd-Braska, but that is a busy spot, and a lot of businesses there. People are traveling, kids are going to school there, walking. And if we can just kind of see how we can get some type of system going to make just a few improvements, I think that'll help the residents a lot. But I thank you for chiming in, sir.
Councilman
we'll coordinate with the city to see if we can do something to make an improvement there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Lee and Mr. Campbell, thank you very much for your excellent report. But while Secretary Gwynn is here and following up with Councilman Goods, my office received a multitude of phone calls from complaints from citizens about trash, junk, and debris around the exits and entrances of 275 and I-4. They're also calling my office for things such as 5-gallon buckets in the middle of the interstate, beds, mattresses, everything that's fallen off trucks. Secretary Gwynn, is there, I know that we FDOT, contract for cleanup of our entrance and exits off the interstate system, along with our interstate system. Is there one centralized number that residents can call to say, hey, I would like to have this cleaned up, or hey, there is a mattress on the interstate system? Or is there one centralized number that our residents can call instead of us trying to have to call all these different entities that we contract out to keep our interstate system clean?
No, absolutely. And I'll get you a number. I'll make sure I get a number that would be the most appropriate. The thing we want to try to do is to get a response out there as quick as possible, especially if it's something like a mattress or something that might be a safety hazard out on the road. We do have an asset maintenance contractor. We actually got a new contractor, I guess it was late last year, and we revised the contract to be able to put higher standards on them than we normally do. By statute, we have to have a certain level of maintenance. But in talking with the city council and the mayor, we understood that some areas were not being maintained to the level that the city and the citizens wanted. So we increased those standards. It does get a little bit complicated, and last year we went through an exercise with the city. There are certain areas that are actually under city agreement with the city to maintain. We have maintenance agreements with local agencies, and there are certain areas. The big thing we wanted to make sure is that everybody knew, okay, this is a city responsibility, this is a DOT responsibility. So there wasn't an area that somebody thought they were not responsible for that they really were. And I think we got all that worked out pretty good with the city maintenance team. But we'll revisit that. And Councilman, if there are particular areas you're aware of that are, exceptionally poor in terms of the trash collection, if you let us know, I'll make sure that whoever's responsible for that keeps an extra eye on it. I know we did, I think during the Super Bowl, we actually put a whole lot more resources out there to try and, get it even especially looking even better. But if there's areas we're missing, we'll be glad to go out there and look at them. But we'll get you a number that you guys can post out to folks to call. I just don't have it off the top of my head.
Secretary Gwynn, thank you very much.
Councilman Dingfelder.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My question, going back to the presentation by Mr. Lee and Mr. Campbell, technology is a wonderful thing. And I mean that sincerely. It improves our lives in great ways, but we also, the trade-off for technology is also a loss of our privacy and in many ways, our civil liberties. What was the book 1984, I think, was published back in the 60s or something like that, and it predicted this future. And
we're living it.
And with concerns about Big Brother, and I still have those concerns on a daily basis. So my question as related to these cameras is how tight do these cameras focus in? Are they focusing in on license tags and faces? Do they have the capability of focusing in on license tags and cases? What types of control do we have on those cameras so people can't break into them and use them improperly? And finally, in regard to law enforcement, does law enforcement have to obtain search warrants in order to use these cameras? And under what circumstances, do we, obviously if there's something very serious, that we would want law enforcement to do that, but, on a day-to-day basis, maybe we'd be a little more hesitant. So that's a lot of questions. You guys can deal with it as you wish.
Sure, I can jump in. Oh.
If I may, Brandon, sorry, Councilman Dingfelder, Chair, Vic Bide, Director, Mobility Department. So we've been working on this over 6 years, and we're very cognizant of the balance between the need to have, eyes and ears on the ground to give us information and privacy concerns, valid privacy concerns by the community. So the first thing about these cameras is we do not record video. We only use these cameras and live streams for observation. The other thing that these new cameras will have the ability to do is count vehicles, not read license plates, but count vehicles, which we need counts for. And typically we pay for counts on an ongoing basis or buy equipment. So these cameras will serve multiple purposes, which is, know how much traffic there is, but also observe it. And then the third thing these cameras will be used for are things like emergency management, before and after assessments. But they do not read license plates, they do not recognize faces, and we do not record the video. We do integrate our video into a common system with multiple departments, including TPD, but that is more for internal efficiency than anything else. As far as the vehicle flow sensors go, those are just radio waves, in essence, catching some sort of disturbance. And so they're very non-intrusive as well, to the extent privacy goes. And then finally, on privacy, one vector of concern is people's privacy through the systems that we put out there. The other vector is people that may be misusing these systems by through hacks and things like that. And for that, we've gone out of our way and received some national recognition as well to ensure cybersecurity of our operating equipment, which is the cabinets and the controllers in the street. So we have a device there that listens for some sort of intrusion. And if that intrusion is out of the ordinary, it will do anything from quarantine to sever that connection, depending on the level of threat. So we've taken a lot of precautions in addressing some of these concerns, and happy to address any follow-up.
Thank you, Mr. Bito. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm most pleased, I guess, to hear that this is not a tape-recorded device. So that probably alleviates most of my concerns, and I appreciate, Vic, that you and your team and the department are cognizant of these privacy issues. Mr. Secretary, we, on behalf of council and the city, we appreciate this big program to help traffic move better through the city. So thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Goods.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. Mr. Secretary, again, thank you. And I don't know what realm it'll fall in between us and the city or collaboration, but I also know that it's very dark underneath that Floyd Brassica intersection there. So maybe some extra additional lighting can help. Anything that we can find a way to see to kind of detour a little bit. Again, we don't want to ostracize the homeless or anything like that, but we got to find a way to try to help them as well. But we also have to make sure that we have the area clean and safe. And again, some of the things that have been happening just aren't good for the community.
Yes, sir. In fact, I just saw the other day where we've got some plans to do more underdeck lighting in some of the areas. So we're going through that process, working with the power company. I will tell you, unfortunately, what we found in some of the areas with a lot of the homeless population, they'll actually go in there and try to break the lights because at night they might not necessarily want them on. So there's a lot of maintenance involved in it, but we try to protect them and find ways to keep it. But you're right, we are doing, and we did a lot over towards the West Tampa area last year as we moved into some of the longer bridges, but we're working on them.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Miranda. You're muted, sir. Please unmute yourself. Councilman Miranda, we can't hear you. Oh, it's okay. Just click on the, did you click on the microphone?
Sure.
Oh, there you go.
I am now. I was unmuted by a source other than myself. Let me say this, and I appreciate whoever working the control. Let me say this. We certainly can do things a little different in the past, and I'm sure maybe you've done it in some intersections already. You can use nature's best energy source called solar. with lights. Put them up high enough, protected enough so that the light shows out a much stronger beam, much brighter. The LED lights that they have now, you know, you can spot something 50 yards away. And I'm not saying to light it up like you're patrolling something, but if you want to continue to do this and save your money, all of us, go to solar, you can put it in your own house, you can protect your own house, something walks by, it lights up, and in 20, 15 seconds, it goes back down. So you can do all this yourselves. I'm not talking to you personally, I'm talking to everyone. So there's a lot of protectionism you can do by yourself without violating anyone's rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Thank you, FDOT. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. We appreciate your time and the presentation. And Vic Bide, thank you as well, sir, for all your hard work. All right. That concludes the agenda with the exception of item number 58. And we will take that up after lunch. We are in recess. It is a little before noon. How about 1:30? Is 1:30 all right with everybody?
Sure.
All right. We are in recess to 1:30.